Okay, here we are. Welcome back, everybody. It's been a little while since we've done one of these, but we're back. Tonight, we are going to be playing the finale for the Inquisitors Toll, a Harbinger mini-campaign that has been run kind of in two parts. One side, the Inquisitors, the other, the Vigilantes, which tonight we will be concluding with the Vigilantes, Episode 3, if I'm not mistaken. So, if you are unaware of what Harbinger is, it is a setting that is being put out by the Absolute Tabletop Company, and it is currently in playtest. It has been for some time now. I think they're in version 5 currently. It's a super awesome science fantasy setting. This particular game will be taking place in a setting that I made kind of for that system setting, whatever you want to call it. This one is called Chrome City. It's kind of inspired by Blade Runner, etc. But surely you already know that, because if you're starting here, that's just a huge mistake. You really should go back to the beginning. But before I get too much further, I'm going to pass things over to my players so that they can do their intros and talk about whatever projects or channels that they have going currently, and then we'll get this thing started. So up first, why don't we go with Baron?
See, I knew you were going to pick me. That's why I didn't keep eating. What's up, guys? I'm Baron. I'm over at the YouTube channel, Rolling with Disadvantage. We do a couple live plays over there. I got some new stuff coming out next week, so come check me out. I'm reprising the role of Tolbert Christian. He's kind of a off-the-grid do-gooder in his own means of justice, so hopefully he gets to complete that today.
Absolutely. Next up, we have Anna.
Cool. I am Anna, and I don't have a channel, but there is a lot of cool stuff happening in the Absolute Tabletop community. We just got home from AtCon this weekend, which was very fun, and everyone watching this should go if you were just, yeah, it's cool. I got to meet Jeremy in person finally, so that was really fun. Other than that, tonight I'm playing Billy Justice, also, and I am a Forgeborn, and she doesn't, a woman of very few words, but she is the Teddy Roosevelt big stick. So, looking forward to finishing this this campaign, mini campaign. Yeah.
Likewise, thank you very much. And it was absolutely my pleasure to get to meet you in person, Anna, and have my ass kicked by you in Magic. So, up next we have Jose.
Hey everybody, my name's Jose, and I'm playing Miguel Diaz, who's ex-pirate and really good friends with Tolbert, so definitely can't wait to see what happens tonight.
Absolutely, man. And last but certainly not least, we have more than a forehead, Corey.
I am more than a forehead, and 4 out of the 5 people in this room right now I've met in real life. So, I know about what I have said. And, if you guys get a chance to go to AtCon next year, I'm absolutely do it. I'm playing Ryan Justice. Character. Yeah, but Ryan goes by 0, so we'll go a whole bunch of that. Yeah, and he is a and he has a barrel so it's called Fluffy. Nothing Fluffy. That is that's a good night, and I'll see the back of the journey.
Yeah, we are getting a lot of feedback, and your mic is real quiet. You sound real distant. I'm not sure. There's a... Oops. But yeah, while Corey is getting that sorted out, and before we get started, I just wanted to say thank you for tuning in this evening. Anybody who's tuning in live and anybody who may be watching later on, I appreciate it very, very much. Yeah. Oh, this is an adult game run on an adult channel. If language is kind of a thing that bothers you, or mature topics kind of gets to you, then you really, really just shouldn't. You just shouldn't. So unless you guys have any kind of questions, then we can kind of handle a quick recap, because I know it's been a while.
Is this better?
A little bit.
A little bit? Give the mic closer to me. I just want to make sure we're good before we started. And are we still getting that feedback? Because I'm using different speakers. I can turn those on.
A little bit. It's more just kind of a static. Sounds like it's probably just ambient. You know, you've got an AC or fan or something running maybe. And
yeah, I'll just make sure that I be really good. Hey, we're in Harbinger. Hopefully static won't be a bad thing. Yeah. Oh, and we are using version 4 still, right?
yeah, I think everybody's characters are currently version 4, which is perfectly fine. The things that they changed, I don't think will impact anything with this game that I know of. So you guys won't suffer for it. Cool. So as far as a recap goes, last time the group of vigilantes had discovered a way beneath the barrier, the wall that kind of separates the Outage District from the Blackout Sector. The Blackout Sector being a place within the Outage District that is far worse. Like, that has no power to it. The only people that live there are the truly, truly desperate that have no home anywhere else. And you have tracked a group there that is called the Cabal of the Covenant. And this group is somewhat of kind of a cultish nature, and they've been causing a lot of trouble lately. And you have decided to try to put a stop to the trouble, to try to keep the long arm of the law from getting too involved. You already know that there is a group of Inquisitors that have shown up here in your neighborhood to try to handle this problem. And typically, they tend to escalate things. So you're trying to head that off at the pass. And you found a way beneath the barrier to get into this place through the old subway tunnels. And as you were down there, you ran across a few people, several of which were the kind of people that I was just talking about, kind of destitute, no other place to go. And through asking several of them questions, you ended up finding out how to kind of make your way towards this, where this cabal was located. And one of the ways you did so was finding a subway car that had actually pierced one of the walls and caused a large enough hole that you were actually able to climb down through the subway cars in order to get into the next part of this subterranean complex, if you will. And shortly after doing so, you ran across one of these members of this cabal who seemed to be frantically running for his life. You had a brief exchange with him. Some shots were fired. And while you were busy trying to interrogate this person, you found out what was chasing him. A creature that was not entirely corporal, not entirely alive either. A specter that this individual referred to as a martyr, a kind of ghost-like being that seemed to be somewhat comprised of Astra itself. And there was a fairly intense fight that followed. And you guys just finished defeating that monster and allowing this captive to go free. So, kind of down in the bowels under this city, is where we last left off. So before I completely get started on this, I read my little intro and everything. Does anybody have any kind of questions? Any business to take care of?
We had like an objective we were going to, right? We were going to the Cabal hideout, if I'm not mistaken, and we had an idea of where that was.
Yes.
Okay.
I cannot remember if you guys had discovered the name of it yet or not, but it is called the Consecrated Sanctum.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Yeah, so you probably heard it already.
Righto. I'm just making sure we're not like kicking it here in the dark.
No, like you guys certainly have a plan.
Okay.
You don't know like exactly where it's at, but you know more or less kind of the direction you need to be going.
Right on.
Cool. And it sounds like Corey's sound is better.
Yeah, is that better?
Yeah, I can hear myself though.
You can hear
That is a
yourself.
lot better.
But I can hear you much better.
Yeah, I don't know. My nice mic is not being so nice right now. So here's another question we've been talking about in chat. Are we level 3 or are we level 5?
You guys should be level 5.
Because we started out at level 3.
Yeah, you were level 3 for the first session. Should have been level 4 for the second, and then level 5 from now on.
I'm
If I
currently
fail-
level 5.
Yeah, if I fail to get that across to you guys, then that is totally my fault. But just
Yeah, no, it's all good. I'll make it happen.
yeah, just work on leveling up as we are going, and it shouldn't be a problem.
No worries. All right, yeah. So I hope the sound's all right. If not, I'll turn these speakers off because that could be doing it too.
Test. Yeah, I don't hear myself.
You don't? Okay, cool. All right, yeah. So I'll do the level up thing here, and it should be just fine. Are
Excellent.
you gonna say that we had like a rest in between here?
You guys would have been able to probably take a short rest. I wouldn't say a long
Short
rest.
rest.
I mean, you're able to take a long rest if you'd like, but you run the risk of getting discovered if you're going to spend that long downtime.
Yep.
Cool. All right. So if everybody is ready. All right. Chrome City isn't the kind of place where people are born and raised. It's the kind of place where they are carved out of what they used to be. The softness and the compassion forcibly whittled and chipped away with time. Cynicism washes over every person in this city, like the rain does with everything else. If Chrome City was a toilet, which it was, then the Outage District is that grimy part in the bottom that the brush just can't get to. But many of you have called this place home for some time now, and nobody was going to make it worse than it already was. Not on your watch. So now, even further into the bowl you go, and the shit down here is getting thicker by the minute. So, the four of you have just let this person go after facing this martyr creature and are kind of licking your wounds, for lack of a better term. So, what are you currently up to as you're taking this small respite?
Miguel's probably like
I'm getting pretty bad lag from you, Jose.
You said Miguel's probably.
Yep.
all right, give him 1 second.
Colbert has sparked up one of the bargain brand shitty cigarettes that you get here in the Blackout. I don't know if you can get cigarettes in the Blackout District, in the wherever. I got, they're like half full of tobacco falling out, and is all right. Can I roll to see if I know which way we need to go? Is that going to be investigation?
Yeah, I would say either investigation or history. Either one.
All right. Let's see which one I'm better at. Whatever. Neither. We're looking at a 17.
You rolled insight?
I rolled investigation.
Investigation, that's right. Okay. So you've kind of poked around a little bit while you guys were taking it easy after this battle. And you found an actual, like a marquee, the way that you would find in like a shopping mall or something like that, where it has this kind of display of a map of the general area. And you find a place on it that basically says, chapel. And your guess is that that's probably more or less the right direction.
So yeah, there's like is this marquee like illuminated?
No, it would have been at some time, but
Right
there's
on.
no power down here. So
Then it would be Tolbert, just inches away from this thing. The illumination of his cigarette, kind of giving me the ability to read this, even just barely. And seeing the word chapel, I would take the cigarette button, kind of mash it out on the screen, and turn around and kick rocks back to the party to relay what information I think would be useful.
And while Tolbert is up to that, what are the rest of you doing?
Well, if I'm not mistaken, Billy was dropped last session and brought back to life with the help of some mechanist healing. And so she's probably standing, just sitting stationary, as she does that many times, sort of with her large, kind of primitive, despite the setting, mall, kind of standing up, and she's just sitting completely stationary, just looking dead, probably next to or close by Zero, while maybe Zero is working on her and fixing her, or just kind of sewing up different places. But other than that, she is very inactive.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth, man. It's certainly that, during this little break that we have here, a couple things have happened. She sat down and had an epiphany of how to do a thing with her arc tool to make herself a little bit more hardy. And while doing so, she gains a little bit more defense, which is great for her. And then she does look over to her friend, and she looks like she's been through a battle. Oh, wait, because she was. And she does the cleanup on her that she usually do. Like she said, stitching her up a little bit with the arc tool because, she's a lady. Sure, we can call her that. But she's also a bunch of machines, so that makes a lot of sense to Zero. Probably why they get along so well. She does a little bit of repairs on to Fluffy if anything like that was needed. Notices that Tolbert is walking back from wherever he went off to. He often just kind of drifts off sometimes. So she sees him walking up and go, "Hey, what'd you find there, leader?"
So easy. The gift of power is gifted. I would actually get back and look to Miguel, who I would imagine is polishing his gun.
Yeah, he was ammo and cleaning out his gun and just getting ready, especially after what happened before.
I'd get back and be like, Miguel, you got the canteen, bro? Because I think I found the way we're supposed to go. I'm pretty thirsty.
Yeah, he would toss it your way.
I'd catch it and be like, all right, well, I found a marquee back over yonder, and it said chapel on it. And if I take a guess on these Cabal figures, I'm sure they're like metaphors.
Well, I'm definitely not looking to repent, but I have no problem kicking in church doors or anything like that.
That's why I like you, Miguel.
How far away was that?
The marquee was pretty dirty. I just know the direction.
Yeah, but how far away did you walk there, Tolbert?
You know, over yonder. The metric unit of yonder.
Such a fucking smartass. Anyways, all right. Are you? Have you guys seen this? That she pulls out the very special gun that she found. Did you see what it did to that wall?
Yeah, I mean, any gun wielded by Tindo Nin, I think was her name. That was a spotty recall.
Yes, Tendo Nan. You know, the folk hero. So,
yeah, she made it to the Harbinger. I'm sure that gun's capable of a lot more than what we give it credit for.
No, yet.
I'm not much for guns, so.
Yeah. Well, there's no. If we sit here too much longer, I don't think we're gonna be alone.
Well, I'm ready to go. Let's do it.
Hey Billy, you feeling better there, girl?
Much better. And I kind of, on cue, I kind of stand up to my 7 feet tall and just sheathe my maul behind me, and kind of cross my arms expectantly, waiting for stuff to happen.
Tolbert would look. Oh, go ahead.
Are we heading out? Nothing.
Yeah, just you're tough. Don't push yourself. You know, we like you with personality.
That was the worst lie I think I have ever heard in my experience. I have no personality.
I'm a lot of things, but I'm not a liar.
In that case, you have a very interesting taste in personalities.
Clearly,
And I think that
clearly. And she gets up, she looks at Fluffy, she looks back to Billy and goes, well, he came from that direction, so I'm going to start walking that way. Is that correct there, Tolbert?
I'm already, pulling out another smoke. Let's do it. I already told you. Let's go.
So as the four of you...
Look at the two.
No, please, go ahead.
No, I look at both of them, and he was going to go, ladies first.
You're goddamn right. And Billy goes first.
So, as the large Forgeborn kind of strikes out at the head of the group, and the three of you follow in suit, you start making your way down these tunnels that look more and more like a cohesive complex, like some place that was built with purpose. But you don't make it a whole lot further before you hear the echoes of a voice kind of traveling to you down these tiled and tight corridors. You can hear someone. It sounds almost poetic or lyrical. Not quite to a song, but it has a rhythm to it, a practiced rhythm. And it's a single person speaking. What would you like to do?
I would probably stop everyone just kind of with a gauntleted fist. And I probably would look to the refined ears and eyes of Zero and say, do you hear that?
Yes, I do. And she's whispering to her. But if we're walking that way, and they're that way. She points the same direction twice. Maybe the guy, it kind of looks like him a little bit behind us, should be the first one going. And if it's one of his boys, he could talk like one of his boys or whatever, or girl or whatever. I don't know. No crazy and shit. She smiles.
Yeah, Miguel, because he took the stuff from the guy when he sent them packing, so he would put on the mask and put on the suit and everything, and he would just look at everybody and he would be like, "You guys got my back if anything goes down, right?"
Of course. Sure.
You know
Sure.
it there, bud. Me and the big guy, we got your back. She's kind of looking around, all like really, really suspect.
With that, he would take out his gun and put it by his side, and he's gonna start walking that way. Pretty much the way that he's facing the person, so they can see me from the side, but they can see that I have the gun in the other side, and see what happens. Jeremy, you're muted.
Oh, that's good, because my dogs just started going apeshit. So you have moved forward and found yourself in a place, again, almost like a mall, where there's kind of the crossroads, if you will, of several different hallways, kind of meet in a hub. And in this hub, there's at one time what was a beautiful fountain, kind of a big water feature. Currently, it is completely dry and very decrepit and falling apart. And there's, seating kind of scattered around. But there's a gathering, a small group of people dressed just like you, Miguel, are kind of kneeling in front of another figure who is standing. And this figure has kind of this hollow book open, if you will. And his eyes are kind of glowing the same blue astra as this hollow book that he's reading from. And as he's reading from this blue hollow book, you can also see that he has this sensor, this device kind of hanging from a ring on his other hands outstretched. And from it, like pure green astra is just like seeping out into like this fog that is clinging to the ground in this area. And all of these twisted motherfuckers are breathing this shit in purposefully. Like they're lifting their masks away from their face and just taking in huge inhales of this stuff. And he is speaking with a kind of authoritative, loud voice. And he says, "The world will be inherited by the believers. Those who have the will to follow the way will get their just deserts." This is speaking of you, my children, all of you, like me, who follow the Messiah. And he kind of stops and sees you, Miguel. "My son, my lamb, come to me. Come and kneel. Hear the words of your prophet."
With that, he would try to take his gun and fold it where they can't see me and put it back in my pocket, and he would go forward and kneel. And talking about, is there a way that I could leave my whisper link on so that way they could hear what he's saying?
Yeah, I would say so. Are you also breathing this green astra in?
Let's go on a trip.
All right. You kind of lift your mask and inhale deeply. And you feel a rush of euphoria kind of wash over you. And your Astra Fade limit increases by a point. This is pretty much pure Astra. The same kind of thing that you have been exposed to lately in dealing with this group. This kind of radiated material. But you breathe it in and you feel pretty good. He continues to proselytize for a while. What are the rest of you doing while this is happening?
I'd like to sneak as close as possible without being detected.
If only there was a way we could resolve that. Maybe with like random chance figured in.
Is there like a D20 roll I can do for that?
I think so. I think they call it sneaky.
Sneaky sneaky.
Sneaker sneaks.
So I have I got a 21. I have +5 in a sneaky.
Sneaky. You underestimate the sneakiness.
Actually, I have a +5. So yeah, I got a 21.
Okay. So yeah, you absolutely managed to creep forward. I would say you're probably within 50 feet of this individual. And you probably find something like a large planter or something like that you're able to kind of crouch behind, or maybe even a pillar.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of cast-off machinery down here. So,
sure.
Yeah, I'm just trying to listen to what he's saying, and I probably think this guy's fucking batshit crazy, which is about half as sane as most people up on the surface.
Yeah, I mean it is definitely the kind of zealotry that you may have heard before, but this particular brand is new.
So is our plan to kill these people? Because they're pretty.
Sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I'm gonna triangulate. That's not the right word, but I'm going to where Tolbert went to hide. I'm gonna try to go to sort of another place so that we're forming a triangle of visuals with this in respect to this guy that's profiting and
okay, sure thing.
And speaking. So
yeah, go ahead and roll that stealth. Keep in mind, I know that you're kind of a heavy type, so if you have...
I do actually have armor that does not disadvantage my stealth. I remember that.
Perfect.
And actually, you see that as I start moving in, all of my armor that was kind of loose hanging before suddenly just sort of like... and just like almost compresses into my body a little bit just to prevent all the noise from happening, so... that is an 18 for my stealth.
Excellent. So yeah, you managed to get probably within 60 feet or so.
Okay, that's perfect. And I kind of just like I'm just blending in almost with the environment with my kind of janky armor and my the janky surroundings.
Absolutely. Yeah, this kind of, rust spotted, well, what would be probably parts of your body, maybe even, not in such great repair, fits pretty much right in, like you said, with all of this discarded, forgotten machinery and other things. So yeah, absolutely. Take a point of inspiration for your description. Roll with that. All right. Who else? Who else we got?
All right. Well, I guess lastly that'd be Zero and Fluffy. As he starts walking forward, she looks over to her barrel mech and says, "Hey, big guy, we're gonna have you kind of stand over there." She points to one of the. You said it kind of looks like a mall, so it must have been like a shop or something that has an open gate, and I have him kind of stand in that area, if that's okay.
Okay, absolutely.
And then I'm gonna do what she does, and instead of, I'm gonna move forward a little bit, but not a lot. Whereas I have to roll stealth, but I'm gonna roll tech. And I'm going to actually hack into Miguel's what's that thing called? Hyperlink. Whisperlink. Sorry.
Hyperlink? Okay.
So she pulls out her, her much nicer kind of laptop type deal thing that I've been using the whole time. And yeah, I do triangulate to his whisper link so that I can get direct access and even maybe a video off of it.
Okay, cool.
And
Yeah,
and she's superiorly jealous that he gets that. that upgrade. He doesn't know that though. Yeah, so I'm gonna roll tech.
yeah.
Yeah, that's not bad at all. 16 on a die. That's huge. It's like
Excellent.
$1 million. Yeah, plus 9, so 25.
Yeah. Okay. So you managed to get this this whisper link hacked, and you are able to get a little bit of a video feed off of it. Although it's not the greatest quality, the camera on the whisper links is very, very weak, which is why most people usually use other kinds of equipment to override that. But you are able to see just a little bit, and you can count. It looks like there's probably close to 10 of these cabal lackeys, if you will, and this one individual who's calling himself the Prophet.
Took the words right out of my mouth. I was just about to ask. Yeah, so she sends a message across his whisper link of play friends and see if you can get further and get them away from here and send them back to where they're going.
So in return, instead of talking, he would like tap it like a few times, pretty much like signaling that, all right.
Okay. So the plan, it sounds like then, is to kind of just sit tight and wait these guys out. Let them finish what they're doing and head out on their way. Is that the case?
Yeah, and have Miguel infiltrate, with them, apparently.
Sort of. I mean, how many are we talking? Like, is there? You said there was like 12 guys, right? Like,
Yeah,
all in a circle around.
Yeah, there's 10 lackeys plus this guy. So with Miguel in the mix, that's 11.
All right. So that.
I think at least we should try and neutralize this leader figure. Maybe not right this second, but like that be our goal here.
Well, yeah, and I assume we're kind of talking over whisper links a little bit on this, but
yeah, Miguel probably not so much.
Yeah,
but yeah,
but he can still hear us.
Yeah, absolutely.
I assume all of us are connected. It's like walkie-talkie, just open channel.
Just Harbinger. But yeah, I think we should target this guy because he's up to no good.
Yeah. Because I have no objection to starting an assault.
Has he said anything about like their plan, Jeremy? Were they just boosting morale here, or did they have an objective that they were mentioning?
You have to kind of pull out the inference of what he's kind of getting at.
Some sort of check to see if I'm picking up the slang.
Absolutely. I would say either religion or maybe insight.
Let me check what I'm good at. Neither of those things. But I'm smart, so I'm gonna try a religion check. I've been over quite a bit of the or known orbits, so maybe I've heard something about he's talking about. 12 modified.
Okay. So you're not able to entirely follow along, but you're able to get the gist of what he's speaking about. And he's definitely using passages from this tome, this book that he's holding, to kind of relay thoughts and ideas into these waiting. I just dropped the word for it. Congregation. That's kind of seated around him. And basically, it sounds like you're kind of typical doomsday bullshit. We're going to rise up, and people will finally understand and respect us. And
the chosen will rise. Mars will be the land of milk and honey.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, gotcha.
And he is referring to several different figures, which we have correlations to in our day-to-day lives as players. But he's constantly referring to the Messiah, the saints, the consecrated sanctum, the Lamb, etc.
So maybe more importantly than neutralizing this guy, we need that book. So maybe we can try and corner this guy if he ever breaks apart, or if his guard reduces down from double our number. Thoughts, concerns?
Or I could I know it's crazy and all, but I could just shoot it with Tenento's gun here. Just kind of waves it at you.
You can be as crazy as you want to be. You're not half as crazy as these people.
Yeah. But then that probably would make all the rest of the 10 of them.
I wouldn't recommend shooting them now, being as in a numbers game. I wouldn't bet on me.
Yeah, you're right. Miguel, it's let us know when it looks like he's going to be wrapping up, and we'll give chase.
Yeah, he would just the link back like he understands.
Could I just quickly want to ask over the comms, is violent chase or subtle chase?
Not the crazy one, girly.
Go ahead and feel it out. The best the situation calls for. I'll give that up to you.
No, but Tolbert, as we've talked about before, need to be very specific with Billy, because she doesn't really understand.
She's a smart girl. Let's give her some credit.
I'm not talking about her intelligence, and they kind of start bickering back and forth. I feel, you know what I mean, as we do, yeah, but it's just that. Okay, whatever.
She'll be fine. This is growth. Life's about growth.
Yes,
Zero.
yes.
Life is about growth.
You're on your own, Billy.
Grow.
Good luck with that.
Billy, you don't need to grow anymore. This is metaphorical.
I don't understand metaphors.
Yeah,
we'll teach you.
She doesn't smile when I say.
We'll teach you.
So remember when you were saying whatever. Anyways, but yeah. So you do you, Billy. It's just
I'm just warning you. If we, to my understanding, is we're looking to extract that book. But I'm just warning you. If things go south, I have no reservations of smashing that prophet and everything around him, including the book.
Hey.
And that's why you're my best friend.
Hey, make good decisions.
So, meanwhile, while this kind of bickering over the Whisper Link is going back and forth, Miguel, you notice that the guy next to you he's lifted his mask up to kind of take one of these large inhales, and he's kind of turned towards you a little bit with a kind of quizzical expression. You think that maybe he overhears just a little bit of the noise coming out of your Whisper Link? And he kind of looks at you strange.
Well, I hate to do this, but if this guy's looking at me weird and I have the feeling this shit's about to go down, I'm about to pull out my piece and blow his head off.
What?
That escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
So is that what you're doing there, Jose?
Yes.
Okie dokie.
I love it. I love it.
He should get advantage for that, right?
Yeah, I would say so.
Right, so
it's clearly a surprise.
You'd hear like a group like on the Whisper Link.
So I pretty much would. I don't know if you want me to do a sleight of hand or not with my weapon, since I got that collapse thing.
What are you trying to do the sleight of hand for? To try to hide the fact that you're shooting this motherfucker in the head?
No, that I'm taking out my weapon, discreetly.
Oh, no. You have advantage on the attack roll.
Okay.
You're good.
Well,
this is the last thing that any of these guys expect, so.
He would slowly pull out the gun, and then the gun's gonna start glowing magenta, which is gonna be me doing my what is that thing called?
Astra.
Yeah, the Astra thing.
Yeah, I can't remember which the weapon enhancement.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I can't remember.
There we go.
There you go. That's it. Okay.
And I'll do my 2 attacks. You said with advantage, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, wish you luck. I'm gonna die. Oh. So one is a 19 and one is a 20. And I believe I get crits on 19, don't I?
Both of them hit. And you might, as a treader.
Yeah.
That might be a thing. I'm fairly certain that regardless, this person's going to be dead. You might even get 2, so it's probably worth rolling up the damage.
Okay, so I rolled 2 dice instead of 1 then for each shot, or is it double the damage?
Yeah. Typically, the way that I do it is just take your total, like what it would be maximum, and then do a roll on top of that.
Okay. All right, well, I'll just tell you what it is because, I'm not good counting, but one of my shots was 14 and the other one was 8.
Okay. So, yeah, the first one, you can tell me how this first unsuspecting fool goes down and how you nearly obliterate a second in an instant.
Well, pretty much this guy was like looking at him weird, and especially with him having all this like green astra going through him and stuff, he's just like, he was probably panicking anyways because it was in the middle of this, so he's like, oh shit. So he slowly lifts the gun like right underneath the guy's like chin, pulls the trigger, and as soon as he does that, he just like shoots the next guy next to him, like pretty much through like the mask.
And yeah, his face just kind of rocks backwards, and he's already on his knees. But even this, the impact from this close from your handgun completely picks him up off of his knees and lays him out on his back. And as he does so, this mask kind of flies off of his head, and immediately Astra starts pouring out of him. And I need you to make a saving throw, please.
Absolutely. Which kind?
Con.
Yay. Alright, let's see if I don't die, because explosions are bad. 7?
A 7 is not going to avoid it. So you are going to take, luckily, 1 point of damage and 1 point of astrofade. You are also thrown 10 feet away from this guy, as several of the others are also washed over with this green astra. And they start to kind of twitch almost. The second one that you shot has fallen over onto his side and is just wailing at the top of his lungs. Meanwhile, this prophet is kind of looking around, trying to figure out exactly what just happened. And he looks at you and he says, "My son, what have you done? This is not the way. This is not the way we do things."
Can I reply to him?
Absolutely.
He would look at him and he would be like, he fucking look at me funny when I'm waving my gun. And after that, I'm going to try to run and hide behind something.
No, play it off, bro. Play it off.
Fine.
You got to meet now the palm of your hand.
Well, I mean, sure, let's see. Yeah, he would be like that. Like, he fucking looked at me funny. And I guess I will get closer, but I do want to try to find some cover, though.
You want to try to get closer to him? Okay, you're going to have to choose. You can either get closer to him or you can find cover.
You know what? I'll get closer to him.
I mean, unless you're going to try to like use the body as cover.
I guess that's not a bad idea. I wouldn't mind using somebody as a shield.
Okay. So this guy that's kind of writhing around on the ground, you kind of reach down and scoop him up, kind of put him in between you and the prophet. The prophet's face kind of gets angry and twisted. We reserve the violence for those who walk the streets above us, son. Not for your brothers and sisters who live amongst you. You must repent. You have sinned. Come before me. Let that man go.
Let's see. You know, yeah, I was thinking the same thing. He'll throw the guy down and put the gun away. And he would tap the whisper link a few times, so that way they know, like, which way to back.
Absolutely. The rest of you, if you would, while we're doing this, go ahead and roll initiatives. We'll get that going. So you come forward to where this prophet is waiting, and he kind of holds his hand out expectantly. Your guess is probably for your gun.
I don't want to give him my gun. I like my gun.
I know that.
All right. I will pull out my gun and put it in his hand. But if it's allowed, I would like to put my hatchet. Well, actually, no, I'm not going to even pull out my hatchet. But I would ready it in my back.
He kind of nods as you hand him the gun. That's very good. Very good. Now, go ahead and kneel.
Yeah, fine. I'll kneel.
Okay, and he kind of assists you. He kind of puts a hand on your shoulder and somewhat forcefully kind of pushes you down to your knees on the ground. He takes this sensor and kind of almost does like a almost imperceptible tug of this ring on his finger, and the length of the chain that kind of holds this kind of pulls itself in, kind of like a think up into where the sensor itself is seated in his hand, and he kind of lowers it down directly in front of your face, and then reaches down with his other hand and pulls your mask up and off of your head, and kind of places this basically right in your face, like your nose and mouth is just almost touching this thing. And he says, "Must be a new recruit. I don't recognize your face. But never you mind. You will be shown the way, the path that you must walk to righteousness. Breathe, my son. Breathe."
Oh, here we go again.
Okay. You are breathing, yes? Or are you trying to resist?
Nah, I'll go with it. I mean, I gone this far. I might as well go with it.
Fair enough. Okay. You gain another point of astrafade as you breathe in a big old lungful of this green astra. And he just kind of smirks down at you, this kind of scarred rune on his forehead, almost, well, no, adding to the sinister nature of this individual. All right. So, once that's finished, he says, "I think it's best that you come with me now. The rest of you," and he kind of turns around to the others that have gathered here, "please go on about your tasks. We will meet again before supper time." You help me bring this one. And he kind of looks you up and down to meet the Messiah. We have some discussion that must happen.
I do have a question real quick. Well, not a question. I would follow him, but I would be like, I need that gun back at some point. It means a lot to me.
Not more than your family, surely.
I don't have any family, but thank you.
Oh, but my son, that's where you're wrong. Because you do. You have a family amongst us. The Messiah is your mother. And I am your father, dare I say. Your brothers and sisters, though you have sinned against them, will forgive you. You are in the fold, as we'd like to say. How long have you been down here, son?
I lost track of time down here.
As do we all. Our time is not our own. Okay, so the rest of these individuals have kind of gotten up and started to disperse, heading off into the different tunnels that kind of meet here in this hub. One of them has stayed with the prophet, apparently there to help him wrangle in Miguel. The three of them are kind of standing there still talking as the others have dispersed, at least outside of eyeshot. So, for the time being, what are the three of you doing?
Have any of them come towards us?
Yeah, I would definitely say that each one of you was probably passed by at least one or two of these individuals.
Can I roll to see how many came my way?
Sure. Give me a D4.
I like to do the same.
2.
Good thing. Okay. So there were two that walked past Tolbert.
All right. Well, I'm going to kill one of them and try and steal their uniforms.
Okay. The two of them that walked past you were together. So are you just not worried about discretion, or?
It might be the distraction we need, ladies and gentlemen. Because we can't let Miguel get taken back into the back of the church.
Not without us. So,
yeah, if anyone goes in the back of the church, I want to be there.
I'm right there with you there, Miguel. I think it's, sorry, there, Tolbert. This might be the first time we ever agreed on anything.
We have like one of those every game, but I would like to roll sneak attack on one of mine. I can wait if you get. I said I want to roll sneak attack on one of my guard. Unless anyone has some more subtle means that they want to go first. I'm about to ice this guy.
Nope. I got an idea.
Quickly.
Okay. So go ahead and roll your attack. Baron, you will have advantage on this.
Got a 17 on the die. I'm going to take a guess and see if that hits.
So close. But yes, it is.
Nope, you missed. All right. We're looking at 12 damage. Wow, max damage plus 3. So 15 damage.
All right. So what does it look like as you take this guy down?
This is probably not even, this isn't flashy. This is probably the truest colors you've seen out of Tolbert since you've met him. It's a clean, like up to the throat or something that would extenuate his ability to scream, and kind of just drop him down and stand face to face with his boy.
Yeah, that guy definitely, the second one definitely wheels on you and kind of takes stock of things.
Can I place myself between him and the rest of his group and try to like intimidate him with that? Or is that pushing it?
No. I don't think it's pushing it. Because I mean, you waited until they passed you to Shanghai them anyway, so you would more or less be already between them and the rest of the group. So yeah, that's perfectly fine.
Like no like verbal or anything, just like a cold ass like I really don't give a shit what you do right now.
Right.
Kind of look.
Okay, so
it's gonna be a push. My intimidation is garbage, but
well, that's with your intimidation using your charisma as a basis.
Ooh, true.
This doesn't really make much sense to me that it would be charisma based. So how much damage did you end up doing again?
I did a total of 15, including all my modifiers. Okay,
so a 15 would normally be a +2 if it was a stat. So give me a intimidation roll if you're proficient with it, and the +2 kind of standing in for your stat roll.
Got a 13 for a total of 15.
Okay. So, yeah, this guy is shaken very badly. He's kind of standing there looking at you, looking at his friend who's lying on the ground about to explode.
About to explode. We forgot about that part.
And kind of looking back over your shoulder where this prophet is kind of starting to look up in your direction, having heard this very loud shot. So, yeah, I would definitely say that's successful. But
I used a short blade for the record. I don't know if...
Oh, okay. It was not a shotgun.
Yeah. No, bad. This is, stealth kill.
Right. So, yes, the prophet is not looking your direction as of yet. But I will need a Constitution saving throw, if you would, please.
Absolutely. Not so hot on that one. I think that is an 11.
An 11. Okay. That is not going to do it. So you are going to, you're going to take 4 points of damage as this explosion happens. You're thrown 10 feet away. And you gain...
1 astrophae? 2 astrophae?
No. 2 points of astrophae. Okay. When he explodes, there is kind of this audible, dampened kind of noise. And Astra just everywhere. You've run across this several times already, so it's not a surprise to you guys. However, it might be a surprise that it just happened here, just now. And it certainly is a surprise to the prophet, who, Miguel, you notice, stops mid-sentence as this sound happens and takes his eyes away from you to look in the direction that Tolbert is hiding, or was hiding just moments before. You kind of look up that direction to see Tolbert kind of standing in the middle of the open, having been kind of thrown almost into a wall from this explosion. So, we're going to jump into initiative order now. I believe I have everybody's. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So, first up, oh no, is the prophet. All right. So the prophet looks up, and he pushes past you, Miguel, walks somewhat closer to where he can see Tolbert. And Tolbert, he's going to fire out from his hand where the book was. The book kind of appears momentarily again in that hand for just a split second. And then those 3 panels of the book turn into these like elongated blade shapes and jet towards you. What is your armor class?
That's a good question. My armor class is 14.
Okay, 2 of these are going to pierce into you. It's technically force damage, but whatever.
Sharp force damage.
Sharp force damage.
Have you ever been hit by a dull sword? A stick?
You are going to take 13 points.
Tolbert's looking rough, ladies and gentlemen. We're good. We're alive.
As he calls out, "Disbeliever! You will be brought under the full weight of our faith."
Miguel, the time is nigh. Miguel, the time is nigh.
All right. The other cabal are kind of looking around, trying to piece together what's been happening. And they are turning to kind of head back towards this hub, drawing weapons of their own. Short blades and makeshift pistols. The one that is standing nearest to you, Miguel, calls out to the prophet, "Father, what would you like for me to do with this one?" And he kind of looks towards you, Miguel. The prophet turns over his shoulder. You can see the wheels in his head turning for a moment. And he says, "Kill him." The individual turns towards you and comes at you with a short blade. What is your armor class?
16.
And misses you wildly. You're able to anticipate this change of tune, if you will, and he telegraphs his strike way in advance, and you manage to duck out of the way, and the knife doesn't even come close to your vicinity. Okay. The rest of the clergy are trying to figure out exactly what's going on, and or the rest of you are either out of sight or out of range or both. So the rest of them for this turn aren't going to have anything they can do. In the initiative order, that brings us... Yeah, that brings us to Tolbert.
So I'm like clutching some new wounds and rips in my suit that I've acquired in the last 15 seconds. And I'm probably staggering on my feet, to be honest. I mean, I'm not dead, but getting exploded with force damage twice is enough to hurt anybody. What was the outcome of the guy that I tried to make run away? Did he flee, or is he still here?
The one that's frightened of you? No, well, actually, he failed his saving throw as well, so he was pushed 10 feet away. So I would say there's probably 20 feet between you now because you were kind of thrown apart. He's kind of getting to his feet.
All right, well, fuck him. I would like to turn tail and use my 30 feet of movement to move towards the prophet, just in a straight line. Is there any guys in between he and I?
Yes, I would say so.
Okay. I'm going to use my... well, actually, would I be able to... Spheroids as an action is a real bummer. I'm going to activate a shield spheroid, bumping me up to 3 astrafade. And hopefully, basically what you see is like a small little orblet, like small piece of candy kind of thing that I throw up in the air that expands into like a much larger object made up of smaller objects held together by a yellow astra field. And this thing is just kind of expanding around me. And it bumps my AC 2 to a total of 16. And I'm just running at this guy. Probably, if I invoke an attack of opportunity, that would make sense to me.
Yeah, you're just pushing past these lackeys and trying
I'm getting to Miguel. I heard him say kill Miguel, and that's unacceptable.
Got it. Okay. So does the 3 points of astrafade put you over your limit? Or you
Nope, that puts me at my limit. So anything above this, I'm rolling the tables.
Sweet. Good deal. All right, so you summon up a little bit of extra help in the armor department as you rush forward, face the prophet. That brings us to Fluffy.
Alrighty. So, like I said, he was a little bit further away. So the only thing I can have him do is come report back to me. But I'm gonna have him stay up against the building because I feel as if she would have been on like the corner of the building, like the corner of like of an intersection and looking down, where all the action is happening. So Fluffy just comes to where I am, and yeah, that's about all we can do. Because I'm like, how far away would Zero be at this point? Quite far, right?
Staying outside, I would say you're probably maybe 100 feet.
Yeah, I figured so. So yeah, I'll have him, report to me, and then if anybody comes towards us, and makes it to us somehow, I'm gonna have him hold his action to be able to protect me as he always does.
Okay. Yeah, there were a couple that had started down your hallway, and they hadn't quite reached where you were since you're further out before this this shit started hitting the fan, and they're turning around and looking like they're heading back. So it's the kind of thing
far are those guys away from us?
I would say they're probably 30 feet. So, I mean, if you wanted to close with them, you certainly could.
Okay, yeah. So, all right. So we're gonna change the plan here. It's I'm gonna command Fluffy to go ahead and take out the guy closest to me, because I would assume that there's one a little closer and a little further away, because they wouldn't be walking next to each other holding hands. At least I don't think so.
Not kind of cabal.
And I didn't think it's that kind of cabal. So yeah, so he's gonna run right up to him, and he transforms both of his arms, so he has one pulsar arm and one blade arm, and I'm going to stick that blade directly into that human being. Well, he's going to do that. So let's get that done. That is a definite hit, 17 on a die.
Yes, sir.
And oops, any one of those. Oh yeah. Virginia does. Let's go with D6 real quick. There's one right there. And that is max damage. So that is 8 damage directly to this human being's chest. Well, back. We'll say he stabs him from behind.
Yeah, so these two are kind of, talking between each other. What the hell was that? Kind of turning around and heading back. And then all of a sudden, we just see this blade erupt from one of their chests as the guy kind of looks down at it in disbelief. He's not quite dead, but he is certainly not up for fighting any longer. His counterpart kind of turns back and looks up and sees this horrifying baromech and starts basically shrieking at the top of his lungs.
Yeah, because the pulsar is right in his face.
Perfect. Okay. Miguel, you're up. Defend thyself.
I had a quick question.
I might have an answer.
What are the chances that I can try to get my weapon from this guy and then attack him?
Possible. I would say it's a roll. We'll call it a bonus action to try to do that.
Sure. So what do you want me to roll?
Let's see. I'd be cool with sleight of hand or maybe a strength roll.
Ooh, okay. I'll do strength. Strength or athletics?
I could be persuaded to do athletics. Just kind of rip it straight out of this guy's belt.
Well, I'm definitely going for that. Does a 14 work or not?
Yeah, I would say a 14 is good enough. So you probably actually grab a hold of this this gun, and when you pull, it actually probably rips some of the fabric of this guy's robes, and he almost kind of spins halfway back around as you pull your gun back out. And I think it's kind of one of those things where, like, you have pulled it out of his belt. And like as you're completing the arc of pulling it from his belt to drawn position, the gun is like unfolding into its, you know, its full length or whatever, so that it's ready to shoot by the time that you even have it aimed.
I'm very excited.
I love you, Jose.
So,
That was perfect.
I can pew pew now?
Yes, please pew pew away.
Sweet.
Are you pew pewing at the prophet or at the clergyman?
Oh, I don't even care about him. I'm not even gonna look back there. I'm about to like put bullets in this guy.
In the prophet?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna shoot him,
Okay.
and then I'm gonna action search and shoot him some more. If
Now,
possible.
now he's excited.
That was fucking crazy.
Let's see. All right. You want me? So you want me to make 2 rolls or 4 rolls?
You have extra attack and you're doing action surge as well.
Yeah.
Why don't you meet them out just in case he doesn't survive all the way through?
Okay.
That way you can place those other shots elsewhere if you'd like.
You know what? No, I just want to unload on him. I don't care if he's dead.
All right.
I'll shoot him while he's dead.
Go for it then. Make 4 rolls.
All right. So 22 total, 16, 16, and 23.
That's 4 hits.
Sweet. All right. Start rolling some damage on this shit. Sorry, it's gonna take me a second.
So he turns towards Miguel, kind of puts his hand with his sensor up. My son! No! And is silenced, I would imagine.
Alright, let me add this up and I'll tell you, because oh man, I hope I kill this guy, because I really dislike him. He freaking took my gun. He gotta go. Alright, so holy shit, that's 50 total.
50 total. Yeah. So, what does it look like as you silence this prophet forever?
He probably just like looking him eye to eye, and he would just like and just hit it until run out of bullets.
Yeah, and as this guy is going down in this hail of gunfire, he's crying out, "No, this is not supposed to be the way of things." And as he's dying, the sensor that he has starts to beep. And as he hits the ground, the back of his hand collides with the tiled floor, and his fingers reflexively open. And this sensor rolls away from him, beeping. Beep, 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 beep. And there's pulsing green astra that kind of shoots out of this thing every time it beeps. And suddenly, from the various hallways all around you, you hear the echoes of a somewhat familiar, albeit new, sound. And you see the glow of green astra from around various corners beginning to close in on you. The rest of the cabal are freaking the fuck out and are starting to run. Billy, it's your turn.
I don't know how I can take a turn after all that. That was incredible. Okay, so now I think I have an idea what this horrible shrieking sound could be, and I'm sure Billy does too. But I think what I'm gonna do is if there's just these peon cabal members that are running around and panicking, they're getting in the way of our operation, and we can't have distractions while this is happening. And so I am probably going to pop out from my hiding, just sort of in one fluid motion. I'm going to pull out from, it's kind of a side pouch, the carbine that I had been very hesitant to use for most of the time, just for personal reasons, and just kind of Terminator, just I want to pull off 2 shots at just 2 of the normal cabal people running around. So okay, gonna roll. Oh dear. Well, that's a Dex 5. That's an 11 to hit one of them.
Not quite enough, as it's going to glance off of the little bit of armor that his scout suit provides him.
Okay. Well, I see that, and I'm going to use my new level 5 extra action to just kind of, like the Terminator shooting out those. So I just got to spin around the carbine in my arm and just fire off again. That is even worse. That is a 7.
Ooh.
Natural 2 on the die.
Okay, no.
There is a very good reason I don't use carbines, apparently.
Yeah, I guess so. The fates have spoken. This individual sees you draw this gun. It sees your enormous frame kind of rise up out of the darkness, for one, as he's already terrified. You level this gun at him, and the first shot passes just like right over his shoulder, again, kind of glancing off of the armor that he's wearing. And as you're reloading, he's already turned heel and is just hauling ass as fast as he can to get away from you and whatever the fuck else is coming. All right. 0.
Oh, it's me. How nice. So yeah, can we hear that audible noise from the sensor?
The noise is not coming from the sensor other than the beep. The ghastly kind of wail is coming from all around you guys, sounding like it's getting closer.
Okay. Fluffy's got that guy that's near us, so I'm going to kind of turn the corner and see the carnage, I'm assuming. And I hear the 2 shots that happened from my friend. So I don't get extra attack because I'm a mechanist, but I do have a gun that makes me be able to do some pretty fancy shit. So we're going to do that. She's going to draw the Astra Zapper, and I'm going to do some things. So basically what it is for those that aren't us, it is basically a large caliber weapon, heavy pistol that looks exactly like a Nintendo Zapper. And instead of shooting regular ammo, it shoots Astra bolts. So she's going to do that. I'm going to shoot my first Astra bolt because, as I said, first. I'm going to... I can't think what that's called. What do they call that? I'm going to push it, whatever that is called. Can't think.
I just lost the term as well. Boost.
Yes, I'm going to boost it and do the boost on scrolling on Astra Bolt, where I can target up to 3 creatures within range, making separate attack rolls for each. So how many guys were over near Billy?
Let's see. We established that there were 2 that had tried to pass Tolbert, and there were 2 that tried to pass you. Mm-hmm. There was 1 that stayed with the Prophet, so that's 5. So there's probably at least 3, I would say, where Billy's at.
Okay. So, yeah, I'm going to start making rolls.
Go for it.
That first one definitely missed. As bad as you can miss, because I rolled a natural 1. Second attack is not. That is a 14 plus 9.
Yes, that is a hit.
Yeah. And the last one is a natural 20 plus 9, so 29.
Ooh, buddy. Okay. So yeah, the first shot from Tendo Nin's Astra Zapper, it like slags a hole in a wall nearby. As you know, maybe the trigger was a little more sensitive than you were quite ready for, or something. And I mean, it just leaves like this semi-melted hole behind. But the second shot positively impacts your target, and the third, yeah, I'm pretty sure there's not going to be much left.
Much left of that person. Yeah, so I'm gonna do my shots. Kind of like how you were saying for Miguel. I'm gonna shoot, and then if I need to, I'll shoot again at that same person. But I hope I kill this guy. That's a D8. There's a 7 and an 8 plus 6 is 14 on the first shot.
Yeah, that guy absolutely gets obliterated. You can tell me how.
Okay. And then you said you do your criticals as whatever max damage is, which would be. No, sorry. First shot was 13. Sorry about that. And then you said you do max damage plus whatever I roll, right?
Correct.
Okay. Well, so that is 18 damage on one of his pals. Yes. I take out the one that's closest to Billy first. Turn him into green. Well, I'd say pink goo, but he's not pink because it's gonna be green. And the second guy that is closest also becomes pink dust. I mean, green dust. And I would like to use my movement to move towards where Tollbitter is.
Okay. Yeah. So, Billy, you're standing there, having just kind of missed this one individual, and all of a sudden, his whole body kind of eviscerates, just like turns into pure energy, but not the kind of powdered Astra that you've seen these individuals explode into before. But I mean, just completely get unmade. And before you can even completely process that, a second one obliterates right next to him. And so complete is the obliteration of the Astra Zapper that these guys don't have the chance to explode in a fury of Astra. Like the Astra from this gun absorbs all of the energy that they would be able to output. They're gone. Okay.
That's fucking cool. Yeah. So I mean, she starts making her way. I would like to do it stealthily-ish. Like kind of ducking in and out of. You said it's kind of, so does it look exactly like a mall? Like it would have had shops and so on and so forth?
Yeah, I mean, exactly like is probably not quite the right term, but close enough for us that anything that would be present in a normal mall would be present here.
Okay, yeah, but I mean, so I'm certainly trying to move quietly forward. Yeah, so do you want me to roll stealth for it?
Yeah, if you would.
Okay. It's a 15.
A 15. And what did you have, Hannah?
Oh, am I rolling? For stealth?
No, you had just started talking. I didn't know if there was something you needed.
Oh yeah, no, I was just gonna say over the whisper link to 0. I think I remember why you're the gun person. Just very briefly, and then just kind of leave it at that. Let you do your thing.
Yeah. This thing is so cool, she says.
Okay. I believe by my count, there are 4 of these individuals left. And the screeching is growing louder and louder and closer.
I think we have those Reapers coming in there, boys.
The sensor continues to beep. Beep. Beep.
Can we hide?
You might be able to on your turn.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm assuming my roll made me be able to hide, right?
Yes. Yeah, because you specifically were using it on your turn. Okay. The 4 remaining clergy just completely exhumed. I mean, they're gone. Like they run for the nearest exit and just take off as fast as they can. One of them is certainly going to be leaving engaged space with Fluffy, and then a second one will also be leaving engaged space with Billy. So if the 2 of them would like to make opportunity attacks, they absolutely may do so. These guys are dashing. These guys are dashing, certainly not disengaging. So go for it.
I would love to make an opportunity attack with the carbine. Gosh,
throw that dice out. Throw that die away now.
You do have a point of inspiration.
Oh, I do have a point of inspiration.
Wait, you said it was a 13 to hit?
Yeah, it's the exact same thing. 13. 13.
I'm
still going to use it.
I would actually save your point of inspiration because a 13 is good enough for these guys.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. All right. Well, I rolled a second time and it was 13 again, so. Okay. That's 9 damage with the carbine. So.
Looks like.
Huh?
What does it look like?
Oh, I sort of just like I'm looking and I see the guy struggling and I just kind of close my one eye and just raise up the carbine again and just fire it off. Just and it sort of streaks forward, like the camera's panning right behind the bullet and the guy maybe turns around a little bit and then he and hits him, wounds him. I'm not sure if 9 damage kills him or not, but
yes, it does.
Oh, it does? Okay, then it goes, he turns around, it goes right through his eye. His head explodes out with a little bit of the red astra from the pulsar and maybe some green astra, depending on whatever happens to him when he dies.
Absolutely.
And then I cut.
Yeah, his head kind of disappears from the impact of your attack. And almost instantly, like his neck hole becomes like this font of red and green astra that's just like, or magenta and green astra that's just like pouring out of him. He kind of quivers and shakes a little bit as he falls to the ground and then explodes. Luckily, though, he was already running away from you, so it brings you outside of the area of his radiation, if you will.
And my last thing, I do kind of a side grin, and I say, that's more like it. And I just kind of to myself, and I turn around just ready for more action.
Okay. That was your ready to action. So I believe Fluffy also had a ready to action. Or not a ready to action, I'm sorry. An opportunity attack.
Yeah, an opportunity attack. Yeah, it's gonna be really bad for that guy. Because as he turns around to head tail, Fluffy lets go of the pulsar rifle, and it hits him right in the head. I rolled a 14 on the die plus, probably not a lot.
Yeah, that'll definitely hit.
Yeah, but not too much. Plus 8. So plus 5. This just goes up. Okay, plus 6. So and then I rolled a 7 on the die plus 4. So yeah, that guy had a bad day. He has no head.
Yeah, kind of a very similar situation. His head disappears, the body falls to the floor, and then explodes into this powdered astra that you've kind of grown accustomed to from these very bizarrely affected people. But he's outside of the range of it. So
now with that, okay, so is that like a poison effect? Yeah, I mean, even if he was,
maybe. I don't. It's Astra Fade, but the damage that you take is poisonous. So
Yeah, okay. So actually, he would have had an immunity to that, anyways.
Cool. And I don't know if Byromechs typically have an astrophase limit.
They do. Extra fade limit of 2.
Oh, okay, cool. So he probably wouldn't take the damage if he was in it, but he might still have to gain points on his astrophase chart. But for this instance, he's outside of it, so he's good.
Okay, cool. All right, thanks. Yeah, and then Zero looks back and just smiles.
Absolutely. So the two of these individuals who remained get away. They disappear into the tunnels down here just as fast as they can. And it is about that time that you are able to see what it is that's been causing this horrendous noise. And it's probably what most of you have expected. Rounding several different corners, coming out of smaller side hallways or maybe even shops themselves, passing straight through portions of doors and walls, you see the green glow of martyrs. These partially corporal, mostly incorporeal skeletons, still bearing some of the armor and the gas mask that they wore whenever they were members of this cabal of the Covenant. There are dozens of these things, and they are pouring in from almost every angle, closing in on you. And that's where we're going to take our break. So 5 to 10 minutes, smoke them if you got them, refill your drinks, go to the bathroom, kiss your spouse, whatever you want to do with your time. But don't stay gone long. For those of you who are tuning in this evening, thank you very, very much for watching. For those of you who are watching in the future, thank you as well. Hopefully you can also catch the other side of this with the Inquisitors side of things, which I will be releasing to the public tomorrow. So lots and lots of Chrome City Harbinger goodness or badness, depending on how you want to look at it. We will be right back.
That makes two of us, bro. I can't believe you're alive.
Yeah, that was a little bit crazy.
Just a little. But that's the Jose of doing things.
I just do what I think my character would do. Man, but if shit went like this, it's only gonna get worse.
Hey.
Hey.
Ist back. Man,
So I
yeah.
think we should run.
I concur.
Yes.
We should bail.
Because I got dropped by one of those things and we barely won. So
Yeah, we
now
need to bail. I'm almost
12
dead.
of them.
I'm at like 7 health.
2 dozen of them is bad.
I had full health when I was fighting those, and I'm pretty sure I'm the tankiest one of us, unless by some miracle.
We need to bail. Jose coming through with the overkill.
Oh yeah, no, this has been. I don't know. Has this felt like? Maybe it's just because it's been 3 sessions and we're a lot more comfortable with each other. But this session has been really just super fluid and really just felt really good so far.
Oh, I've met 3 of the 4 of you in person. So actually, 3 of the 4 of you seem to be very intoxicated for majority of the weekend. So I guess
So maybe
you are the only one, dude.
This is just me.
I think I'm the only one who wasn't intoxicated.
Yes. I think that is a very fair assumption.
Yeah, you guys see me at my worst, so this is nothing.
Yeah. It's I had a lot of fun with the things you can get in Washington. A lot of fun.
That was great because you were like sacked out. That one night you were like completely sacked out on the counter, and then like Tim Carney mentioned like something, and then you kind of woke up. I can't remember what exactly. It was like someone said like, man, you can't get around the joint, and then you just like your eyes sort of like slowly opened up.
Joint day.
It was gold. It was gold.
All right. So, how is everybody doing?
Talking about our level of intoxication at Echo.
Well, Anna had mentioned something about how this game was going rather fluidly, and it was like, well, I've already been about as embarrassed I can be in person with all you guys, so this is nothing.
It was a fun weekend. Until that
summer camp.
Old man Lily called a halt to it on Sunday.
Well, people gotta sleep. People need to fly home.
Philip was talking about trying to leave early, and I was like, dude, I'm in the lab. Didn't really even think about that. He's like, oh, dude, it's no problem. So us rolling out back to Portland at 9:30.
You went total Transformers.
I'm choppy right now. Give me a second.
Yep. Okay. So, thank you once again, everybody who is tuning in tonight. Thank you, everybody who may be tuning in the future. It is fantastic. There are people out there watching these games. It makes me super duper happy. All right. If you guys are ready to continue, So you hear the sound of death wailing through the halls of this shopping complex, or what used to be this place of commerce. You have slaughtered this group of cabal and their prophet who had gathered here to sermonize. And they are all either now dead or have fled. And you four are left with the dozens of these martyrs now closing in on your position. So I think where we come back in is kind of that, the moment where perhaps all of you are kind of heading towards one another, kind of nodding up together, perhaps kind of in the hub, the centralized location of this place. So as these things are slowly making their way, kind of hovering and floating towards you, how is this exchange going on between your characters?
But you guys, but I am of the strong opinion, and I point down to the hallway that the prophet was going down, that we get out of here. And I just kind of motion. And
I'm not in a position to argue. We need to run, period.
Yeah, you can see that there is a hallway where none of these things seem to be. It is kind of just a hallway that extends off into the darkness. But the direction that Billy is pointed is free and clear of these things as of this moment.
I was wondering, can I like search the guy and see if I can find the book, and also grab that sensor thing that he dropped in the ground before I haul out?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you kind of pin down and you figure out that he has kind of this bracelet on his hand, and on the interior part of the bracelet, what would be the same side as the palm of his hand, there's like this small little projector, and you think that that's probably what was causing the book to appear and disappear. It's that bracelet on that hand. The other is a lot more obvious. It is actually almost like a spheroid-sized and shaped device. Go ahead, Jose.
Yeah, I would definitely grab that stuff. And if I could, big bolt thing that he dropped in the ground that was beeping.
That was the sensor. Yeah, he kind of activated another feature in it, apparently, and let it roll away from him. And that thing is currently still beeping and kind of giving off spurts of green astra. As you pick it up, roll me an insight or a tech. Or investigation or tech would probably be better.
All of us, or just Miguel?
If any of the rest of you are taking the time to actually look at it, you can roll as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I rolled a 4, so I don't know shit. I just picked it up. But I would end up showing it to them. Like, all the stuff that I looted from him, I would give it to one of them because they, you know, Miguel's more of a shooty guy. He's not a techie guy.
I'm sure he'll have the opportunity here very, very soon.
Yeah, I would definitely say that Zero was paying attention to what he was doing. As soon as he picked up that bracelet, she definitely would have snatched it out of his hands and took a look at it, and I rolled a 21 for tech.
Okay. So yeah, the roll is actually for the sensor.
Okay. Okay. Sorry.
Bracelet, no, you're good. The bracelet is a fairly, I don't want to call it common device, but things like it are are something that would be fairly well known to people. They're basically just kind of like a hollow projector, more or less.
Okay.
This one just happens to apparently have this particular doctrine loaded into it. But the spheroid, you notice that the exterior of it is purely decorative. That it looks like there's something more mechanical inside of it.
All right. Can I use my tool to take a look at it?
Absolutely. Are you wanting
As
to do that
as we're running?
Okay, as you're
running.
Fair enough.
As fast as all 5 of us can travel, because we got to count Fluffy into this. So
yes.
Double, triple dash, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, so let's roll some tech tool. I hate this die. Oh, it's not that great. It's 4, 9, 13.
It's not too bad. And it's not difficult to kind of remove this exterior, if you will. And as you do so, you see the item inside is a lot more perfectly spherical than the sensor itself was. It is no longer pouring astra from it or beeping as you have kind of removed this shell, if you will. But instead, it is this sphere that is made of these hexagonal windows, if you will. These shutters is probably a better way to put it. And anybody who is looking at this, if they'd like, can roll a history check or a tech check.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's a crazy number. It's 24 for tech.
Okay, I guess were you the only one? Nobody else?
I feel like we're running, so
yeah,
safely in his
Yeah, I think
hands.
so.
I'm not going to bother.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, and these things are definitely giving chase. They're following you. As Zero has kind of stripped away the exterior of this thing and dropped it, I'm assuming, just back behind, some of them have actually stopped and congregated around the pieces of the shell of the sensor that he's dropped upon the ground and are like ravaging it. They're just tearing it to pieces, even smaller pieces. However, the ones that got close enough to you guys to actually sense your presence have peeled away from the pack and are definitely still giving chase. Okay, Zero. Apparently, at some point, with your studies in technology, you have actually come across mention of this. This is called a Heward's hollow ball. Dozens of hexagonal apertures cover the surface of this rusty spheroid. At first glance, you aren't even sure if the thing still works. However, the craftsmanship of this device is remarkable. You are certain that when it was first constructed, that this lighter-than-average spheroid was quite a spectacle to behold. Yeah, I'll copy and paste it to you.
Mm.
This item is usable only by a mechanist, and it does not count towards their spheroid limit. When activated, multiple apertures open to reveal hollow projectors, which produce three-dimensional and realistic-looking duplicates of the activator. It functions just like a normal spheroid, but produces the effects of the mirror image spell from the player's handbook, as detailed below. I'm not going to go through reading the spell, because I'm assuming you either have a spell book or a handbook with you, or we can get you that information.
I got it.
Cool. So yeah, effectively, whenever you activate it, you use a mirror image spell. Cool. So you are running just about as fast as you can to get away from these things, and these things are definitely following you. There's a few points where you manage to kind of duck around the corners, to get away from them. And you find yourself eventually at a large open space. And who would have been kind of at the lead of your group? Who's the front runner?
At the lead? Sorry, at the lead, you said?
Yeah.
That'd probably be me.
Billy, okay.
Yeah.
So, Billy, you round a corner. Roll me a dexterity saving throw, if you would, please.
Oh, dear. Okay. That is a natural 1.
Okay. Who is second in line?
Like me and Miguel would probably be at the back.
Okay. So perhaps 0 then.
I guess I don't want to speak for Miguel, so.
Well, since Miguel was pretty much behind because I grabbed the items and then Zero was like looking through them, so I guess I would be like very much in the back, yeah.
Okay. So it sounds like 0 is probably second in line then. Hang on, Corey, you're muted, brother.
I am muted. Yeah, I mean, again, I don't really want to speak for anybody, but I think that maybe just the 3 of us might just be kind of conglomerated all next to each other because it kind of feels that way.
Mm-hmm.
And just, but yeah, I would say that maybe I'm second because I'm using my quotation finger.
Okay. If you would, please roll me a dexterity saving throw.
Yes, sir. Well, that is not a 1, but it's not a very big number. Okay, let's see what it is. 4 and a die. And 9. Woo.
Okay. So, Billy, you round this corner into this open space and find that the floor is not there. And instead of the floor, there is a massive pit that is filled with fire. The heat that is rising up out of this pit is intense, to say the least. It's kind of like looking across hot pavement on a really hot summer day. I mean, there's just heat waves distorting everything out in front of you. You see these little sparks and things kind of flying up. Unfortunately, you stepped out far enough on this kind of this path, this road or ramp, if you will. Your last step put enough weight on this thing that it has actually given away under your feet. And you have slipped and fallen. 0, right behind you, reaches out to try to help, to grab you. But having been busy trying to figure out what exactly this new toy is, somewhat distracted. And the 2 of you completely miss one another's outstretched hands. So, you are starting to fall. I need you to make another dexterity saving throw, please.
I most certainly will.
Don't roll a 1.
We're going to use this dice, because this one's the one that gives me the most crits. Oh, okay, that's not bad. 17.
That's much better. So you shoot your hand out, just desperately reaching for anything that you can find, and you manage to grab a hold of this kind of substructure beneath this ramp, this steel bar that sticks out and supports this thing, and it bends under your weight, but it holds. And for now, you are dangling by one arm from this steel bar inside of this hell pit.
Oh, shit. Okay.
So,
can I run in there and try to grab him if I can see him?
Yes, in just a moment. Okay, first, Billy, you're going to take 1 point of fire damage from the heat that is rising up out of this pit. Okay.
1 point?
Now, yeah, just 1 point. So,
okay.
Now, anybody who wishes to act may do so.
All right, well, you want me to roll to try to lift him up?
I would say athletics.
All right, cool. Let's see how this goes.
And I would imagine that Billy's probably helping you, which would be 8 and others, so you can have advantage on the roll.
Okay, well, that works because I had a 7. Now it's a 21.
21 is exactly 3 times better than a 7. So you reach down and you grab a hold of Billy's kind of other arm, and you're pulling, and goddamn, this bitch is heavy. Like, a person this size would be heavy, but this is not just a person. You know, this is almost mainly machine. So you reach down and you grab a hold of her forearm and you go to pull, and like you almost throw out your back. But luckily, Billy has kind of anticipated the fact that you might kind of struggle a bit and is doing what she can to kind of try to help you. She kind of put her feet up a little bit where she can find purchase and is pulling with that other arm where she's holding this bar. That bar groans again, kind of under the strain, bending even further, almost kind of completely into a 90-degree angle, as you are able finally to pull Billy up out of this fiery pit and onto the side, where the two of you all but collapse onto the ground. You hear that coming behind you, and you can see the distant green glow growing closer. Across the pit, one of the things that you're able to make out, because everything else is almost completely dark, is a small platform with an open door and passage on the other side. Next to that doorway, you can see a panel that you are almost positive will operate that door. What do you want to do?
Very sorry. We see that panel on the far side, or
right. So
okay.
On this image here, you see across this chasm, there's that small little platform, more or less in the center of the picture, with that open doorway.
Yeah.
So there's
the door is closed.
No, the doorway is currently open, but you can see a panel inside on the wall that you're fairly certain controls that door.
Okay. I am so okay, and we're kind of out of order. We can act out of initiative, or
correct? Yeah, you're free form.
Okay. I am going to look kind of above us. Are there any like industrial hanging like pipes or things like that? Like iron scaffolds, something like that above us?
There are some. It's definitely old technology. So some of it has been down here a while. So effectively, you guys have a choice. You can either attempt to climb your way around, which will be a little easier to do, but will expose you to this heat. Or you can attempt a jump.
Over jumps.
Yeah, how far is this?
It's a good distance, but it's also somewhat lower in elevation. So it is possible to clear it. It's just going to take a roll.
Okay.
May I somewhat ruin your encounter?
Possibly.
Okay.
What you got?
I pull out from my kind of pack some heavy that has a kind of pronged on the other side. This is the first of however many games I've gotten a grappling hook that I might actually finally be able to use it.
Fantastic. Absolutely.
And
I'm
I
going
want
to say
like,
that it's not going to ruin my encounter at all.
Okay.
I think it's going to be fantastic.
Then I want to look up, and I'm just gonna quickly like explain. I got this. I'm gonna hook it up over that scaffold above us, and I'm gonna swing across. If it can hold me, it can hold all of you. And I'm going to try to secure my. I'm gonna try to secure the rope with a.
All right. So I would say probably either athletics or acrobatics.
Okay, I would love to give you an athletics check.
You? With Billy? No way.
With I'd like to shot put the shit out of this grappling hook. And I'm going to use this one because this dice has been working pretty well for me. That is a 25.
Holy hell. Yeah, so...
I'm using this dice from now on.
So you kind of get this thing spinning, giving everybody to kind of give you a little bit of clearance as you're kind of whirling this thing around, letting the weight kind of get this centrifugal force kind of going. And you loose it across this heated chasm. And you see this in the picture above the open doorway where it's kind of got this almost spiderweb cellular kind of openings. It actually pierces the glass, or effectively glass, of one of these little cells, falls back down in behind there. And as you start to pull the slack out, it actually latches onto this kind of metal framework in between the cells and latches on in place.
Okay.
The wailing behind you is now growing louder, and you're starting to see that the glow is reflecting off of the walls near you as these things get closer.
Okay. Do you think I'd be able to, like, just off the top of my head, how practical it would be to go over one at a time? I go over and then I throw the rope back and then someone else goes over. Or do you think I'd be able to do that with that trajectory, or do I think I'd be able to do that with that trajectory?
Could you maybe hold it and have us slide across?
Ooh.
Yeah, I was kind of picturing almost more like a zip line. Is what you
Okay, I like that so much better.
But
Let's do that.
Okay. So yeah, I would say that, you know, you've got the one anchor point on the far side, and it's definitely beneath you, and then you're currently holding the other end of it. So it is definitely forming a steep enough angle that if people can figure out what to basically hold on to the cable with, that they could slide from here down to there.
Okay. In that case, I want to look over to them and I say, I'm going to hold this and secure it a little bit, but you guys go first.
Albert is in no position to argue. With his 7 hit points, I used the practical application of my carbine.
Okay, so you're using your gun as kind of like the mechanism to slide down this cable?
Yeah. I don't have much else used for it.
Sure.
Before he does that, I don't just want to be holding this. I want to, like, tie the other end of the rope onto some other machinery and hold it. So I have, like, a little bit of double force.
Yeah, so you kind of look up above you, and what would be out of the reach of a normal human, you reach up and kind of are able to more or less kind of bind this thing 2 or 3 times around one of the rafters above your head, and kind of pull the rest of the slack out and kind of almost like put it underneath your ass so that you can kind of belay these people as they're going to go across.
Perfect.
Okay. So, Baron, what condition does your carbine have on it?
That's a good question. I don't think it has one, and if it does, it's used.
Yeah, I think they all kind of start default.
Or worn. Yeah, it's worn.
Okay, perfect. All right, so, worn, let's see. Give me a D6 roll.
Can do. 2.
Okay. So what is one worse than worn? Is that broken?
Probably.
Let's
That's
say
in items?
Yeah, it should be. As you're looking over
that. Functioning, worn, malfunctioning, and broken.
So malfunctioning is next?
Malfunctioning then.
So describe to me, if you would, Baron, please, that as Talbert is kind of sliding across this cable and successfully lands on the other side, how this has messed up his carbine.
I think just because it's worn, maybe some of the metal is weaker on one side, and so the trajectory and accuracy is off.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the weight from the friction on this cable, as well as you kind of pulling on the extreme ends of this thing, has actually somewhat given the barrel just a slight, almost imperceptible curve. And yeah, it's definitely going to kind of mess with the, yeah, absolutely. Okay. So Tolbert, you zip across this kind of noise kind of echoing through this heated space. You're going to take 3 points of fire damage as the heat across this just bakes you. But you land successfully, both feet on the ground, on this platform on the other side. Who's next? Oh, Baron, were you saying something? You're muted.
Can I, just as everyone else is going across, use one of my spheroids?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I'm like really close to dying right now.
Oh, sure. For healing? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So go ahead and do that. Make your rolls and all
I'll
that kind of
post
stuff.
the results in the chat.
Perfect. That'll work. So
all right. So I think that Zero would go next, and she looks over to her friend and goes, "It's a really he's onto something, and you're much smarter than I give you credit for." And she goes up and just taps her on the face a couple of times. While she's doing that, she reaches into her pouch and pulls out her spheroid. And I got a little present for these guys. And she puts it on the ground, does a little couple clicks on the buttons on the top, and that thing takes off like a fucking rocket down that hallway. Like faster than you've seen a spheroid maybe even move before. With the intention of maybe distracting them a little bit by something coming down the hallway before they get to us. And then she looks in her pack, and it says she has a mace. What the hell that is? Or is that mace like a can of mace?
I would imagine that it's a weapon.
Yeah, I would assume so as well. So she pulls that out and uses that as her thing to slide down on.
It's sort of like a morning star. That's what a mace is.
Yeah, some of that effect. It's probably more club-like for her. I'd feel like.
Yeah, it's in all actuality, it's probably like part of like a crankshaft or something with like an old vehicle. It's got just a big weight on one end and a pipe.
Yep, absolutely. And she loops it around and runs forward and hopes it holds.
All right. So go ahead and roll me a d6.
Uh-huh. That's a 6.
Okay. Yeah, this thing is made of stern stuff, and you're able to zip across again, that zzz, all the way across, and Tolbert kind of jumps out of the way just as you're able to leap off of the end there, land both feet firm on the floor. However, apparently there was a large flare-up as you were passing over, and you take 6 points of fire damage from the heat out of this pit.
Oh, glorious. The thing that she'd like to do, if she can have a second on the other side, is that she is absolutely going to that panel and taking a look at it.
Okay. Yeah, so you're going to go over there and start messing with that. Let's go ahead and see what Miguel's going to do next. And
oh wait, I gotta tend to another big guy.
Oh, that's right. That's right. You've got your Baromech.
So he's going to flip his arms back around because we kind of established in the last couple of games that they can do that and back into hands. And he's not going to use anything like that. He's just going to hold on the rope and sing on down.
Absolutely. He kind of zings across. There's like sparks flying out of his hands and shit as he's zipping down. He is going to take 3 points of fire damage.
3 points? Okay.
As he zips across.
Noted.
And lands with like enough force to actually kind of somewhat concave this platform just a bit. Oof. When he lands.
Yeah, the one thing that she was looking at, if you'll allow me to have a little bit of liberty here, she was trying to look to see if there's any controls to make that platform go outward.
While you were zooming over the pit, you actually saw what you're fairly certain were the remnants of that platform down in the bottom of the pit.
Yep.
Definitely was
So,
like
so that's just what's left. So it doesn't retract and go out at all. So okay.
Yeah, it may have at one time, but it doesn't look like it does anymore.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yes, sir. All right, Miguel, are you up next?
Miguel is gonna look down. He's gonna look at them. He's gonna look at the rope. He's gonna be like, "Fuck that! She almost broke my back. I'll take my chances." He's gonna run back, then run forward and jump.
All right, he kind of backs up a little bit, and as you do so, you see this green glow growing ever brighter, and you hear that noise again. Almost like they can sense how close you are to them. And you turn and you haul ass. When you reach the end of this ramp, you leap. If you would please, roll me an athletics check.
Can I do acrobatics?
Can you do acrobatics? Sure. Why not? We'll figure it out.
Oh, holy shit. I think I made it.
Yeah, with a 20, I would definitely say so. 27 total. Yeah. So you run and leap, and you realize, oh, I may not actually make this. This is a really, really damn far jump. And you just don't have the leg strength to carry you across this chasm. But you know that you are dexterous. And you manage to grab a hold of this cable and actually move yourself in such a way that you are tightrope walking on top of it. You instantly regain your balance, kind of thrusting your arms out to either side of yourself as this thing kind of wobbles to a standstill now that this giant barrel mech is off of it. And you just very casually kind of just walk your way down this cable until you get to the end and gracefully dismount off of this thing to join the rest of your crew. You will, however, take 7 points of fire damage as you traverse this chasm. So this spheroid that Zero had let loose, you definitely hear it causing some commotion back behind you. However, it seems like these things may be drawn to life, maybe just to Astra. And it doesn't seem to necessarily have tricked all of them. Billy.
How many are following us at this point, Joe?
As of right now, you don't know. There's none that have actually come around the corner yet. But you had the feeling that there was probably at least a dozen of them that were tailing you guys. So, Billy, as you watch, and maybe amazement, I don't know if Forgeborn feel amazement, but you see Miguel hop off of this cable, and just about that time, you whirl around and see the first of these martyrs rounding the corner. And as they do so, they don't hesitate. They don't stop and look back and forth to find out where you may have gone. They round the corner staring at you as if they knew you would be standing there, and immediately begin pressing in towards you. So far, you have seen 3 come around the corner. What are you going to do?
I am going to take a hold of the cable, and I want to fire off one shot. Actually, I don't know if I can do this, because I mean, I know are we still technically out of order? So could I feasibly shoot the end of the cable, and then just jump swinging down?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, we're kind of in a cinematic scene right now, so it's fine.
And I'm going to do that. So I'm going to take one shot at them. first just to see if I can slow them down a tiny bit, or just some unconscious feeling of I need to take. That just woke up all my downstairs neighbors, and it went flying all the way over there. Okay, I'm gonna risk this with the bad dice. Okay, that is a 7 to hit. Nope, that is a that's a 12 to hit for that one shot for them. So
that is not gonna make it.
Okay, well,
Passes through them harmlessly.
So I see that, and I'm just like, okay, fuck it, and I grab hold of the rope and just shoot apart the part that's tied in, because I know this rope is sturdy enough that my hand axe is not going to cut it to get rid of this. So I just grab onto the rope and just as I'm going forward, pulling it up a little bit so I don't like fall, I don't undershoot, and I'm just going to try to Tarzan swing, cyberpunk Tarzan swing down over the waist right into the open door, and hopefully.
All right. So, give me that athletics roll.
I will give you that athletics roll. That is a 18.
Yeah, that'll certainly do it.
Okay.
So you shoot and sever the end of this cable, and instantly the slack kind of starts to sag a little, and you just reel it in just as fast as you can as you take this kind of running leap off of this platform that you had just fallen off of moments before. And we see, as Billy kind of takes this running leap, we see these ghastly green glowing clawed hands kind of reach for her just as she makes this jump, barely unable to grab a hold of the parts of her armor that sail out over this fiery pit. You reach the end of the slack of this cable, and you're just reeling it in just as fast as you can, hand over fist, as you're starting to sail across this chasm. And you're not able to pull all of the slack out so that you actually land on the platform yet, but you're only like 5-6 feet below this platform as you kind of, boom, slam into the other wall. And roll me a strength check. Actually, a strength saving throw, if you will.
Strength saving throw, okay. My good dice fell on the floor, so I'm using the shitty dice. Let's see. 15.
Perfect. More than enough to actually hold on as this impact kind of rocks you a little. You will take 3 points of fire damage from going over the cliff.
All right.
Or over this chasm, rather. So you are dangling in this pit. And those of you who have who've looked out over this chasm, from the place where you have just come, you see at least half a dozen of these martyrs glowing in their green, kind of partially ghost-like forms at the edge of this pit as they start to sail out into the open air across the chasm to give chase yet still. So who's doing what?
Right, so sorry about your misfortune, Mr. Baron, if you can hear us. But I'm going to instruct Fluffy to grab onto the wire and pull her up.
Excellent. Okay, make a strength check for Fluffy, if you would, please. He can do it at advantage because I would imagine that Billy's helping out.
Yep. That one rolls real good. And that one's not. So I'll take that real good one. 17 plus 19.
Absolutely. Fluffy reaches down and grabs a hold of this cable and just starts pulling it up like he's fishing. Just hand over hand, he starts pulling you up, Billy. And within mere moments, you're able to reach out and grab a hold of this platform, pull yourself up onto it. As that
Get inside, get inside.
Absolutely. 0. Roll me
Yeah,
a would please.
Yep, because I'm closing that door. Yeah, that's gonna be fine. 12 plus 9. So
Okay,
21.
excellent. So Billy, as you were being pulled up out of this pit, you're going to take 5 more points of fire damage from this intense heat that is rising up out of this pit.
Yeah, and you can see like the heat is starting to like burn away small parts of my skin, just but not built to register pain.
What does it look like underneath the skin?
Underneath the skin, you can kind of see this. It's not completely mechanical because she's not really a machine. She's just an artificial human. So underneath her skin is sort of this like burning, almost plasticky, hot plasticky looking material. It's kind of black and gray and just sort of muddled and mixed. And her skin sort of, it seems more like the more her skin sort of is damaged by this heat, the more it looks like rubber and synthetic, more than normal skin. But she sort of pulls and starts just kind of brushing herself off. And actually, if I have an action right now, I'd love to use a charge of my mender to heal myself a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I imagine almost like this, almost like a carbon fiber, where like you can see all of this like interwoven strands beneath this otherwise kind of smooth texture.
Yeah.
And like as the fire and the heat's getting to it, like that's becoming more and more texturized. Like the material that kind of like the epoxy or whatever that kind of bonds it together and keeps it smooth is kind of melting and it's leaving just these kind of exposed fibrous pieces kind of that's inside.
It's giving all some of her skin a little bit of like almost a Deadpool-y look. So
yeah.
I think the mender is 2. It's like a health potion. I think it's 2d4 plus 4, but I'm not really sure. I didn't really write it down.
If it's like a health potion, it's usually 2d4.
I'll figure that out.
But yeah, go ahead and look it up, and then you are able to take the time that it requires to apply that, as long as it's not minutes or something like that. Okay, so the tech check was stellar, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, 21.
21 is perfect. Okay. So as Fluffy has kind of pulled Billy up out of this and the rest of you have retreated somewhat down this hallway, Zero, you are busily hacking into this this control panel, which you've had to basically rip open the cover of off of the wall and jack into with whatever materials that you have on your person. Because again, there's no power source that's currently running through here. So you're basically having to power this entire door from the equipment you've got with you. And you jack in and start furiously doing your thing. The rest of you who are able to see past Zero see these green glowing martyrs floating across this chasm towards all of you, making that same guttural wail that yeah. Just about the time that they get nearly to the door, the light inside the hallway you're in all of a sudden starts to beep green, this emergency lighting, and the door goes, slides down, shut. Almost instantly, you hear ting, 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 coming from the other side of the door.
I don't know how long that's going to hold them, guys. We need to haul ass.
Shit, you don't got to tell me twice, and Miguel will start running.
All right. You start running through this hallway. You can feel the presence in this place. The air here is heavier. There's something here that is radiating through everything. All of you, if you would please, Roll me Constitution saving throws. Miguel. Glutton for that punishment. But you did make it. Just barely. All right. I need rolls for Zero and Tolbert. Still? Okay. Zero's got a... Excellent. You're good. And Tolbert. Yeah, Fluffy's good. Uh-oh. Double trouble.
It's not a person, so I figured so.
Yeah, he's good. Hey, Baron, I don't know if you heard me or not. I know that you're having some connectivity issues, but I am looking for a...
I'm trying, guys. I really am.
No, I believe you, man. I totally believe you. I'm not sure if you heard or not, but I need a Constitution saving throw for you. Maybe.
Is that the real one of him, or is that the other one of him?
That's the bitch about clones, man. You never know.
He's been pod-personed. Oh, there he is.
There he is. Look at the confused look at his face. It's great.
Okay, well, we're going to say that he's fine for now. So, you are all able to kind of withstand the presence of whatever it is in this area that's kind of permeating everything. Oh, okay.
Oh.
So he is not able to withstand. So your astrofade limit goes, or your astrofade goes up by 1, as the astral radiation in this area, which is extremely high, is definitely taking its toll. So you are definitely in, yet again, what kind of looks like a mall at one point, more of this shopping complex. Although this looks like it might be kind of starting to get into more of a, like maybe a residential area where people may have lived that worked down here. And you see what looks like current usage of this space. You see barracks and things of that nature, beds, cots, crates and things that look like they're probably being used as like foot lockers. And your guess is that this is probably where a lot of these cabal seem to be kind of staying while they're down here. But as you are wandering through, everybody roll perception for me if you would.
That is a natural 20.
Excellent.
We got a dirty 20.
Also good. And a 21 from Tolbert. Everybody's hot.
This is my,
What's up? Sorry?
I had stupid stuff to say. I just said this is my dice's redemption arc. It's been rolling bad, and now it gave me a natural 20. So.
There you go. She giveth and she taketh away. The dice goddess, that is. All right. Zero got a 16. Okay, so everybody, you hear what sounds like combat. The sounds of shouting and weapon fire, clashing steel, coming from ahead somewhere. Definitely in a different room. And you don't see a source. It sounds muffled, almost. What do you do?
Sounds like we have company, guys. Unless they're infighting, something's found their way down here besides us.
Do you think with my critical hit perception, I'd be able to figure out a little bit more specifically what is fighting outside of just I hear fighting?
The gunfire that you hear sounds more sophisticated than a lot of the makeshift bullshit that you've seen the Cabal wielding. So your guess is that somebody is down here with some gear, some firepower that is better than the stuff that you have seen thus far. As far as what or who beyond that, it would be really difficult to tell just by sound alone, especially because it's muffled. So it definitely sounds like it's coming from a different area.
Okay. So I kind of relay that to the group as whoever, that sounds like combat. And whoever it is, it sounds like they got some serious shit behind them. Should tread a little cautiously.
If possible, I would like to stealth and then try to like scout ahead.
Definitely. One thing that you do also notice, Billy, with your perception being so high, though the rest of that check was based around sound, you do visually find a thing of interest. As you're kind of poking your way through these barracks, and your group is kind of moving forward, trying to figure out what the source of this noise is, you actually find what looks like an explosive pack, an explosive device, and a detonator.
Does it look hot, like wired and to blow up, or is it just sitting there?
No, it's basically kind of in a, for lack of a better term, a fanny pack, like a small carrying case that somebody would wear on them.
Okay. I would like to delicately pick this up, and I recognize it's like an explosive standard.
Yeah, it's effectively the Astra-fueled equivalent of C4.
Sweet. I'll pick this up, and there's also this that it doesn't look live, but it looks very explosive. Does anyone have any reservations about me hanging onto this?
As long as you keep away from me, we're good.
Just don't shoot at me. I think we'll be fine. And I'd just kind of stow it in like a compartment on my armor. Probably not right in front of me, just probably like on the opposite side of my holstered carbine.
All right. So you kind of stow this away and continue forward. Miguel kind of leading the stealthful progression of your group deeper into these barracks, where you eventually find your way into what looks like kind of a, maybe at one time was kind of like a commons area, a place to gather together to eat or drink or what have you. There's a couple of like apartments almost that come off of this on a couple of different levels. But you're drawn particularly to a wall that's actually not shown here in this picture, that's opposite on the other side. It's a large concrete wall, mostly featureless, except that there are lots of cracks that kind of run through it just from age and misuse. The sound of combat is unmistakably coming from the other side of that wall. You hear the sound of like an explosion happen, but again, it's very muffled, as if through a concrete wall.
And it's completely solid? There's no windows, there's no nothing on that wall?
Correct. Yeah. Now, it's not the only, like, there's definitely other exits and things out of this room. Right. So there's probably a way to get to that area, but without a map, you don't know the directest route.
Right. Are any of the cracks large enough to look through?
No, they're large enough that you might be able to get like your pinky into part way through, but they're not all the way through the wall.
They're all the way through. Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, that sounds like a lot of problems on the other side of the wall there. We may want to find out what's going on, but I don't want to go through that door. And she points to one that looks like it probably goes directly to it. I don't know. It's a lot going on over there. But maybe you might, Miguel. And she kind of gives him a wink.
Sure, Miguel will walk to the door.
No, that's a joke. That's a joke. That's a joke. She says. No. We're going to. Sorry, boss man. I don't mean to take your thunder here, but we're going. We're not going through that door. Are you fucking crazy?
Do you even have to ask that?
Well, no. Well, okay. Have at it. And she starts walking away from that direction, and I would like to investigate the other side of the room.
This common area here?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it definitely looks like, again, the Cabal has been squatting here. They definitely have set it up as kind of like living quarters.
Okay. There's nobody in here?
No, currently. It's very quiet aside from the noises on the other side of the wall. And as far as like stuff, there's really not much. I mean, these people definitely look like they live in squalor.
Like rather Spartan.
Yeah, very much so.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, she would just kind of yell back, "Yeah, everything's clear over here. We could again go around it if you'd like."
You could always lead the way.
Yeah, that's definitely not going to happen. Tolbert, what do you want us to do, buddy? You're the boss around here.
I'm taking a high seat on this when I'm trying to decipher everything that's going on still.
If I could address the Ozen Ironbone Eel in the room, we're still looking for the chapel, right?
Yeah.
Is this the chapel, or are we way off course?
I think you're way off course there, sis. See that? That's a bed. Unless they sleep in the chapel.
Then where's this Messiah? Are they on the other side fighting, or not likely?
Well, if she fights as well as their husband or whatever the other guy was, probably not very well. She smirks. Nice.
I recall the map from before.
Yeah, we had a map in the game before that.
From the Marquette.
Yeah. The marquee that you saw earlier. And you recall that next to the chapel on the map was a place called the Apartments.
Tolbert, was that on the right side of the apartments or on the left side?
It correlates. It correlates to where you're hearing this noise come from.
Bailey, again, I sometimes underestimate you, sister. Sorry.
I just nod. Well, how well has Sneaky worked for us in the past?
Sneaky's worked good, but I think in this instance, we might have to fluffy the store.
And I pull out my maul, and I'm like ready to Billy smash.
Yeah. And rather than using the door like we did earlier in game 1, I'm gonna look at Fluffy, kind of give an unspoken little nod to him, and he's gonna Kool-Aid man the wall.
Okay, so he kind of backs up, kind of gets a running start, and just charges into this wall. So
Had a nice crack.
Yeah, roll me an athletics check for him.
Yep. A million. It's a 14 on a die, so it's like he's got a +4 to strength. That's what,
Okay.
+4 +7, so 21.
So he runs head and shoulder first into this cracked wall, and there is an enormous noise as chunks of concrete break free from this, what is now a shattered wall, fall, and they're probably easily the size of a human torso, fall down to the ground all around you. And in this explosion of kind of dust and concrete, there's now a sizable hole that is opened up into a building, a space that looks a lot like what you would imagine a cathedral to look like. There is the room is filled with a rainbow of light that kind of shines down through stained glass windows. The floors are covered with sand blown in through the years. And there's large pieces of the roof that are completely and totally missing in here, open to the sky above. And there's large, dark pieces of some kind of, it looks like a void ship, like the pieces in the hull of like a ship that are piercing portions of the ceiling in here. And from the ceiling, the rafters and the vaulted decorative ceiling of this place, there's cables and things of that nature that dangle about, and amongst them there hangs these stasis pods, several of them. From these cables and chains, one of them appears to be open, and it contains a dried up corpse. Each of these pods, in particular the one that is open, are covered with markings and trinkets that are draped all over them like a religious altar. The room is just completely and totally under attack. You see the group of Inquisitors that you saw in the streets just the other night. They are engaged in combat with an individual that you can only guess must be the Messiah. She is wielding Astra like you breathe. She's conjuring these spells left and right, trying to protect herself from the onslaught of these Inquisitors. The moment that the wall has blown apart, she turns her hooded face kind of in your direction and sees that you have now joined this attack. And as she does so, she says, "No! No, it's not supposed to be this way. I am the Messiah. The saints have given me the power. No!" And all of a sudden, she bends over and something starts to separate itself from her back. Another being entirely separates itself, and a dark figure with red glowing eyes and a skull for a head, tentacles for arms, pulls itself completely free from the Messiah and turns. And as it does so, there is a wave of Astra that just goes out away from the two of them. And as it does so, you notice that this figure and the Inquisitors seem to not disappear, but almost disappear. It's as if they're in a slightly different reality, running parallel to the one that you find yourselves in. This creature engages furiously with these half-spectral images of these Inquisitors as the Messiah turns, slowly getting to her feet to face all of you. If you would please, for the last time, ladies and gentlemen, roll initiative. Okay. Let's see. Tolbert with the quick draw there. Got 0 with a 16. Hold on. Okay, Billy's got a 10. Hopefully my... Damn it. Shut up, Mutts. Okay, Tolbert. You're up first. What you got?
Tolbert.
Yes,
Tolbert is in a state of adrenaline, having been boosted off of near death with spheroids, so I think I'm just going to charge and attack her if she's within range.
Yes, absolutely.
We're looking at a 22 to hit.
That ought to do it.
For 5 points of damage.
Okay.
Unless that was considered a sneak attack. I don't really think it was.
It was not. Okay. And as you have dealt the damage, you actually have seen the... there's a green kind of... almost one of these mandalas that she's kind of got drawn in the air that pivots around her body and actually intercepts the attack. And as it does so, part of this mandala kind of breaks apart. However, it prevents the damage from actually getting to her. Okay. You did 5 points, I believe. Okay, cool. Was there anything else? You moved and attacked.
I can disengage. No, wait, no, I can't. I don't have cunning action. I'm not a rogue.
What did you? Were you attacking melee?
Correct.
Okay, cool. All right. It is the Messiah's turn. Okay. she reaches out towards you, Tolbert, and you can see her face clearly underneath this hood. She has the visage of what at one point must have been a beautiful woman. She doesn't look like she's that old, but then again, her face is gaunt, and there's dark circles under her eyes, and you can see that most of her hair looks like it's probably gone gray, at the very least at the temples. And she has, like, her face is completely and totally tear-stained. She has been bawling and still has kind of water in her eyes even now. She says, "None of you have ever understood. But you will. You will." She's going to reach out towards you, Tolbert. I need you to roll a wisdom saving throw, please. A 9. Okay. She reaches out towards you. You see this bluish green astra reach out towards you almost like smoke tendrils, and they wrap around your head, and suddenly you vanish from existence. Tolbert, you snap back to perception. You are in a foreign, dark room, lit only by a strange glow from a nearby window that you can't quite see out of because of the angle. But all around you, the architecture of this space is strange and bizarre. It's dark, like it's made out of shadow almost, but it has shape and form. You slowly get to your feet and move over to this window, and you see a blanket of stars stretching out all around you. And you realize that that small, glowing sphere of light that you see is the planet of Cadians. And you realize that you are miles and miles away aboard the Harbinger. Zero.
I'm so fucking jealous. Anyways, but all right. So I get the next 2 turns, right? Me and Fluffy.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. So what's going to happen here is that it clearly appears, well, not appears, but clearly something is happening between Zero and Fluffy. Zero kind of looks over to her friend, looks at the Messiah, and they both kind of move coordinatedly on both sides of her. And what I would like to do is have Zero hold her action to wait until to attack until Fluffy does, and we're both going to shoot at the same time.
Okay, excellent.
So, so Zero gets herself in position, takes out her new best friend, the astra-zapper, and trains it right onto the Messiah and says, "You know something, my friend? It's gonna be a bad day, because this is Zero Fluffy, and we're gonna make you into that green shit that all the rest of your people have been." And she's monologuing a little bit to her as Fluffy gets into position. Fluffy transforms both of his arms again, and aims with the pulsar cannon. And like I said, they're both going to shoot at the same time, hopefully hitting her on both sides at the same time.
All right. Go for it.
So here we go. What is this? All right, so that's a 21 from 0, and way higher than that. She'd from Fluffy, because he rolled a 15 on a die, so it's like whatever, like 23 or something.
Yes.
And yeah, so they're both D8s. I'm going to boost again, but this time to get the extra damage die. Which puts me at my limit, but it wouldn't matter until next time that I'll start rolling on the table. So we'll go with 0's damage. That is 8 plus 7, 15 plus 4, so 19 from 0. Right? Yeah, 19 from 0. And then, oh, he tanked. Only 5 from Fluffy, because he rolled a 1.
Okay. So Zero's shot hits more of this protective mandala as this thing kind of swirls around to the other side of her and absorbs all of the damage from Zero's shot. But it destroys almost the rest of this mandala, and there's only small pieces of it that are trying their best to continue to protect the Messiah. Zero's shot, Fluffy's shot, however, goes wide and actually passes through one of the incorporeal bodies of the Inquisitors nearby.
Okie dokie.
All right.
Yeah, and Fluffy would well, we're on each side. Okay, yeah, that's fine. Sorry.
Okay.
Trying to get too fancy.
Miguel, you're up.
My turn?
I'm sorry, yeah. Here we go.
I got confused for a second. Alright, yeah, he would try to get close, and then he would yell at her, "What the hell you did with my friend?" And then he would, pretty much, his hand would turn, well, it would glow pink with him using his energy shot, and I would shoot at her.
Alright, let it rip.
Uh, 22 and 11.
The 22 is going to work. The 11 will not.
Good. All right, let's see. That's 8 damage total.
Okay. So this shot goes through and shatters the rest of this protective Astra mandala that she's got. And as it's a bullet out of the gun that you're firing, right?
Yeah, one of the damage was force damage, but it was just one. So
okay, so we'll actually say that yeah, the bullet is actually what shatters the Astra mandala that she's got kind of going on her, and the force that you had kind of sheathing this bullet is what actually penetrates past the mandala and actually makes contact with her, dealing the first actual damage to her that you've seen thus far. And she kind of winces from it, holding onto the side where it's tagged her. And she kind of wheels around, shocked that you've managed to bypass her protective magics. Okay. Billy, you're up.
Okay, there's the culmination of all these things happening. Like, just Tolbert getting just spirited away, just... And then Miguel kind of taking the initiative. Just something oddly human takes a hold of Billy, and she sort of feels angry, furious for one of the few times in her life. And she kind of right after Miguel fires off his shots, I kind of come in there with my maul, and I want to use my ability as a Reaver to attack fiercely. So all of my melee attacks are at advantage this turn, but all the attacks against me are going to be at advantage. So,
Okay.
and I'm going to use my action surge in addition to my extra attack, and I want to make 3 attacks against her. And I'm using my...
You have extra attack, and you're using your action surge, right?
Yeah.
So that actually will come out to 4 attacks.
Oh, even better. Okay, so 4 attacks at advantage. Sorry?
I said kick her ass, Seabass.
I will do that. Also, just to be super clear, I'm using the versatility of my Warhammer. So it's not really a maul, it's a Warhammer. But D10 damage.
Yeah, I just realized that movie is probably older than you are, so never mind.
Yeah, not sure I got the reference. But okay, the first attack is 22 to hit with advantage.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, I'll just roll all the attacks first. And,
that'll work.
All right, the next one is this one is 19 to 25 to hit.
Also a hit.
Okay. Another 22, so that hits.
Mm-hmm.
And the last one's a crit. Critical success.
All right.
So this is perfect. That was poetic succession. So I'll do my 3 normal attacks first, and then I'll do the crit afterwards. So
perfect.
The first one is 13 damage.
Yep. And again,
second one
with the protective mandala dissipated and gone, having absorbed as much energy as it could, these hits are going through. They are connecting full on with her.
And I'm just kind of, with each hit, I'm just, you son of a bitch. And so 1. Second one is only 5 damage. Third is 4 damage. And then the last one is going to be the crit. So how do you do crits again?
It is max damage plus a normal roll.
Okay. So that means it would be... So max damage plus modifiers plus a normal roll plus modifiers?
Correct.
Okay, so that means 13 plus 8 is a 21. So 21 from that final hit. So I think
43.
5, yeah.
43 total.
43 points of damage.
So
that's
just
insane.
I'm just getting more and more furious, building up in my face with each hit. Just
with each one of these blows raining down on her, you're hearing bone snap underneath the weight of your weapon, especially with that last strike. You probably clock her in the back and dislocate her shoulder. She screams in agony as she kind of falls forwards on one knee, gripping that shoulder and just wailing at the top of her voice in pain.
And I look down at her just with no sympathy in my eyes at all.
She kind of looks up to you, again, sobbing, this tear-streaked face. Non-believer, you strike me. Strike me down if you will. I am the Messiah. I will return with the power of the Holy Ghost. And she turns and looks towards where this tentacled creature is tearing apart these Inquisitors in this kind of spectral otherworld. She is still alive, though she is in incredible pain. That brings us back around to her turn. Billy. She looks at you quizzically, studying your face for a moment. And then she reaches her good hand forward, removing it from this dislocated shoulder, and extends her fingers kind of in a position that only a Mancer would, forming some kind of arcane gesture and reaching towards you. I need you to make a Constitution saving throw, please.
Natural 1.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. Billy, your body, this manufactured gift, begins to seize, lock up, all of your joints becoming immobile, as you have had flesh to stone cast upon you. You become paralyzed.
Perfect. Okay.
So you guys watch nearby in horror as Billy seizes up to the point where she is standing completely and totally still, right in range of this Messiah, and is no longer responsive at all. 0, you're up.
Okay, so both Fluffy and I are on either side of her still. And within 30 feet of movement, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Because I would have made it so. Seeing the brutality of her sister and the fact that when that type of brutality comes out of her, things don't usually live. She's shocked to see the Messiah still alive. And then her sister turns into a statue. And that doesn't sit well with her. And she very calmly walks up to the Messiah and puts the barrel on her head and said, "You think you're coming back as something special, but you're just a person like all the rest of us. Except for you've hidden down here like a mole. And moles are pests. It's time for you to go." And she pulls the trigger. And let's go the red Astra. I'm going to boost it again to 2d8. Yeah, she doesn't have a chance. That's a 16 and a die. So 16 plus 9, 25.
Yes. That is a hit.
And I'm going to have to roll on the table afterwards, but...
Ooh, okay. Nice.
That is 8 plus 1 plus 4, so 8 plus 5 is 13.
Excellent. She moves at the last second, but your shot rings out true even still. It grazes across the back of her neck, where the hood and like small cape that kind of cascades down her back are completely disintegrated, as is a part of her skin and probably part of the bone, to be truthful. However, you can see that there is this scarring kind of down the back of her skull and all the way disappearing into the rest of her clothing down her back, where your guess is that this holy ghost was attached. She cries out once again in pain, but is still in this fight.
Okay, so then it would be Fluffy's turn.
Correct.
And Zero looks over to her, and Fluffy isn't a person, doesn't have a direct personality, but has always had a little bit of a... He's always been very sweet to Billy. Maybe they feel like... Maybe he feels like there's a connection between the two of them. Maybe that's something because they're both synthetic in theory. And he looks at his friend, and then looks back at Zero, And Zero nods. And he turns his hand, that would be the pulsar rifle, into a hand and picks up this woman by the back of her cape and rips that off of her body. And as he has her up in the air, I would like to stab her right through her body with the bladed hand.
Okay. So, you can either make the attack roll as normal, or you can attempt a grapple check first, and if you succeed, you'll have advantage.
Yeah, we're into that.
Okay. So go ahead and roll in athletics.
14 on a die plus. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the feed. And I gotta get back up to where that was too, because I was interested in the Astro table.
You've already beat her.
I've already beat her. Okay.
Yeah.
So 14 on the die. And then so that gives me advantage on the stab.
Correct. As Fluffy handily kind of picks this woman up into the air, as she's thrashing for a moment and then stops, as that seems to cause her intense pain.
Yeah. And he's definitely squeezing. I would assume he's holding her by the back of her body. Just his hands probably as big as around as her body is.
Yeah, there's probably some cracking of ribs, and she's. You can hear the air kind of being forcibly exit from her lungs.
Oh my god! I gotta take a picture of this. I did the thing, guys. I rolled a 1 and a 20.
Nice.
I love and hate when that happens.
Well, hey, on an advantage roll, that's a good thing. At least it wasn't a disadvantage roll.
Yeah, yeah, so it's a crit.
Okay, so roll it up.
Roll it up and die. Sorry, Miguel, you got all your fun before.
Okay.
All right, that's a 5, and that's a 5. So that's 14 damage. No, sorry, I did that wrong. So 12 plus 12, 24 damage, sorry.
24 damage. Oh my god, yeah, okay. So, describe it, Corey.
Yeah, so again, with all of the disdain that both Zero and Fluffy have, I really feel that she's tried to put as much personality into this barrel mech as she could, because it's not a military weapon, but it certainly looks like one. But this is her friend. This is not just a machine to her. It's like her child almost. And the woman that is frozen like a piece of cement next to her is her sister. Are they born of the same mother? By no means. But she sees that her as her sister, and I believe that Billy does as well. So Fluffy takes this moment with this woman in her hand and takes the blade and kind of plays with her slightly, just a little bit, and kind of just rubs it on the back of her head for a second. And Zero looks at her and goes, "We don't play with our food. I've told you that a million times." And he just kind of looks down sharply at her, and he stabs his hand directly through the top of her head, and the sword comes out of her mouth.
And as her zealous tongue kind of flops out of her head alongside the blade of Fluffy, she draws her last breath, gasping, blood and bubbles gurgling up out of her throat. And she grows still. Within moments, the Holy Ghost seems to also be dispatched by the Inquisitors. And the effect that separated these two combats seems to fade with these two powerful beings. And you find yourselves in this consecrated sanctum in the company of these 4 Inquisitors. And as we kind of pan up in a way, we head towards this open escape pod, this open stasis pod. And we see the skeleton that is exposed wears a very old and worn flight suit. And across the chest is embroidered the name Tendo Nin. Guys, that's it for me. If you guys would like to do an epilogue for your characters, please feel free to do so, as well as any kind of outros that you want to do for yourselves, channels, projects you're interested in. And we'll get this thing wrapped up.
Go first, Miguel.
Trace is tough, man. Yeah, Miguel is saying like what went on and like his friend disappearing and Billy being turned to stone. He would like look at the Inquisitors and, you know, take off his mask that he was wearing in the uniform, and he wouldn't even really like pay attention to them. He would just start walking away. He would take his trench coat and put it on top of Billy, and he would be like, "You did good," like, you know, patting the back of the stone. And he would look back at Zero and Fluffy, and he would be like, "I'll see you guys around." And he would just like start walking away.
Yeah, Zero would look back at Miguel and goes, "Oh, you'll see the 3 of us around again. I'll get her fixed. Don't you worry. It's what I do." And then he does look away from Miguel, and as he's going to say something to her.
Yeah, he would turn around and he would be like, "While you do that, I'll be searching for Tolbert, so maybe we'll see each other again soon." And
yeah, we'll have to do another job again, my friend. We'll have to do another job. This is most certainly. This isn't the end of this team. And those guys over there, they're not going to do shit to us. Right? She yells.
yeah, he would, as he's walking, he would go like this, and he would be like, "I ain't worry about him." Just, he'd be gone.
Yeah, the Inquisitors are certainly licking wounds of their own. And they don't seem too terribly concerned with necessarily bringing you in.
Okay. So then after that little exchange, Fluffy was still holding on to her on the blade, per se. And Zero looks up to him and he goes, "Let her down. She's very dead, my friend." And he just kind of drops his arm and she just studs on the ground. Blood comes out. Now, does green shit come out of her?
It does, yeah.
It does. Okay.
She probably explodes similarly to the rest of the Cabal.
To the others? Okay. Well, I would think that Zero's standing behind Fluffy, and we've already established that he's immune. So yeah. She very quickly looks up to her friend, her sister, the only other person in the world that really almost gets her, and her erratic behavior and loves to tinker with things all day long. And she looks up to her and she goes, "Big guy, can you boost me up a little bit so I can see her in the face?" And she stares right into her eyes and she says, "I know you're still in there. This is just a spell. And one of 2 things will happen. Either we'll pass, or Fluffy's going to carry you back to the lab and we'll figure out a more technological way to get rid of that effect. But it's a real good thing that you're probably not a person, because I don't think we can unsolidify people. But we got this. And she kind of rubs her on the face a couple times, and then kisses her on the forehead, and and tells her that she loves her, because it is her sister, and assures her that we got this. And if it isn't a spell, and a permanent effect, Fluffy would pick up the body, and it's very large, but he's a big old baromech, and we'd make our way out of there as well.
Yeah, I think we probably cut to a shot of Fluffy having Billy kind of slung across his shoulders in like
Human Torture X now,
following Zero kind of out of this place, and then we cut to like an indeterminate amount of time later in this lab that Zero has mentioned, and I think Fluffy probably stands in a corner or something, maybe like at a recharge station or whatever, just kind of almost shut down mode, and Zero is like passed out on a desk, like just covered in papers and maybe not papers, but like data pad glowing screens and things like that. And we see the form of Billy kind of standing again in almost this like a station that's kind of holding her upright, and she's got wires and cables and shit run all over the place out of her. And Anna, what happens then?
Well, besides the entire time before, just internally screaming, just if it was to cut it to the mind while all that stuff was happening at the end, she's just ah. But the final thing that happens is just as it's a quiet scene with Zero passed out and Fluffy deactivated in the corner, and it's just like you can hear a drip of water. And the camera sort of slowly pans up to, and I imagine Billy's kind of like hanging like this forward, and then it's just kind of and she looks up, and right then the camera just goes to black. And you hear in the darkness just ready to comply.
Perfect. Well done, guys. Well done. All right, everybody. So that's it. That is the Inquisitors told. Wow. This is the Vigilantes half. Be sure to go and watch the Inquisitors side as well. That will be released tomorrow. But before I actually put a bow on this and call it a night, I am going to let you guys do your outros, your personal outros, since we've already covered character bases. So if you guys want, just go in the same order that you just did. Jose, you're up first.
Hey everybody, my name's Jose. I got the YouTube channel D20Say, and all I gotta say, man, is thank you very much for having me. Great game. I had a lot of fun. I definitely had a lot of fun playing Miguel. And yeah, thank you again, man. It was fun playing with all you guys. I definitely hope I play with you guys again.
Well, you're definitely gonna play with me.
always a treat, Jose. Thank you. Next up, Corey.
Yeah, my name is Corey. As many of you already know, I'm no stranger to Jeremy's games or any of the other people in this room's games. So, thank you for all the people that watched. Saw that there were some very important faces. We had Karen from Canada, and we had Jason, and who else did I see in there? I saw Nate was in there for a little bit, one of my newest friends that I met at AtCon. And I don't know who the other person was because it was a channel name rather than their name. But, we had some watchers tonight. Who was it?
Dave Hubble.
Oh, was that Dave Hubble? All right. And yeah, who doesn't love Dave Hubble? So, it's, thank you to you guys for, always supporting us. A lot of us are a part of a group that is on the internet that we call the Hangover Group. And we do a really good job of supporting each other and, bouncing ideas and just general tomfoolery even a lot of times. I love you guys, you're like my family now. I don't have a lot of family, and I really, really, really appreciate it. And Jeremy, you ran a flawless game, like like most of us do. And it's always a good night when you get to stab a Messiah. Yeah. I killed Jesus tonight.
Oh boy. There goes my
I'm going to hell.
So, moving right along from that, Anna.
Yeah. Okay. I just want to say, once I started this game, I kind of heard of Jeremy before, and by the time I ended this game, I felt like I was good friends with him and everyone else too. So this has just been super fun. First like serious cyberpunk game I played in. Very, very fun. I love cyberpunk. This is also one of the top few times I played fighter as a fighter type character, because I normally always play like spellcasters. So this was very kind of different for me and just a different mindset. So it was really cool. And yeah, I had a lot of fun. I don't have a channel, but check out the AbTab group. It's a good place, very friendly community. Very supportive, and you can find awesome games like this there. So, I'm sure people who watch this already know about the AbTab group, but if you don't, check it out on Facebook. It's wonderful. That's all.
Absolutely, and I think this is the first time that I've run a game for you, Anna. So this has been fantastic. And your first time playing a fighter, I never would have guessed, because you handled it masterfully.
Well, I
Billy
watched Lloyd.
Fair enough. Billy was a hell of a character to bring to the table, for sure. Not only being a fighter, but also being a Forgeborn, which was undefined at the moment. They might have it defined now. I think they do in version 5.
Yeah, in the version 5.
Yeah, but you did a fantastic job.
So much.
And I would absolutely have you in one of my games in the future. Without
to be in one.
So. Thank you all very, very much for playing. Thank you as well to Baron, who had to leave a little early, and as well as to Nicholas, who played in the first 2 sessions but was not able to join us for this last one. I had a phenomenal time, and you guys are wonderful players, and you brought, again, that edgy, angsty vigilantism that I was really hoping to kind of have coupled with the other side of things, the Inquisitor side. And you guys got it and understood it, and you just knocked it out of the park. So thank you very, very much.
Was their side more professional, per se?
I don't know if professional is quite the right word, but it was a little less, it was more investigative.
Yeah, less chaotic.
It was less direct, I guess is probably the best way to put it. But it colored everything in each other's games really well. I had a lot of fun trying to kind of put that puzzle together of how the 2 sides affected one another. So that was a really, really fun exercise, and it wouldn't have worked without the 9 of you, the fantastic players, bringing your A games. So thank you very, very much again. This has been Harbinger. This has been Chrome City. This has been the Erasmus Expeditions. So thank you very, very much for tuning in. Oh, so you got something else, Corey?
Can I give you one suggestion?
Please.
Can we see if we can maybe get a because you can have 10 people in a hangout. Maybe we could do
I thought about it. I don't know if I'm quite that crazy. We'll see. But we can certainly talk about that.
And not to play a game, just to have
just to hang out.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, and even record it just to have maybe even a Q&A type deal thing at the end.
Sure, yeah, like a debriefing or something of the experiment and how it went. Yeah,
and then we can talk about how we did things different from them and so on and so forth.
Yeah, we'll see if we can plan that.
But if you are that crazy, I would love to play with 9 people in one game. That'd be.
Yeah, Anna, you've got a good point. It may not, the internet may not be able to do that, especially like you said with you and Baron. But regardless, we'll talk about that off air. So, yeah, I think that's about it. Thank you, everybody who has tuned into these games, whether you've tuned into this one or any of the ones before. And I hope you had fun, because I certainly did. And until next time, may your dice roll high and your snacks always be within reach.